banter on the midnight air. Grouch is crackling codes without a care. Rob's antenna reaching everywhere. Hamburgers on air once a month, you know. Yeah, live streaming those adventures, it's a show. ISO throwing signals high and low. Marvin's got that frequency glow. Salty wall with tales of static gold. Antenna tales that never get old. Every frequency a story told. These airwaves hotter than any bull. Hamburgers on air once a month, you know. Yeah, live streaming those adventures, it's a show. ISO throwing signals high and low. Marvin's got that frequency glow. Waves crashing, stories passion, airways full of passion. Dial in for the action, every month it's satisfaction. Hamburgers on air once a month, you know. We're live streaming those adventures, it's a show. It's a show. ISO throwing signals high and low. Marvin's got that frequency glow.
Well, good evening.
What's up?
Well, how we doing, guys?
What's up?
Come on.
Yeah, that's another one I need. I gotta get the what's up. Yo, pick up the phone.
What are you giggling at?
Dude, that's a staple of my generation for sure.
Well, I will first raise a glass to everybody that's joining us this evening. You know, cheers.
Yes.
And thanks for being here.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Finish off my first Corona.
I am
Going
drinking
light tonight.
the last of the Rhine guys. This is a IPA I pick up each year when I go out to Hamvention from Cincinnati.
Mhm.
The truth, it's really good.
Transporting alcohol across state lines.
Yeah. I think there was a movie about that.
Yeah.
Good buddy.
Yep. Yeah. So what did you bring for Carlos that was different from that? That was from Puerto
Eric?
Rico.
Oh, I
Where's Eric?
I brought Medallia. Not sure exactly how you say it. But it's a light beer. Maybe they do a regular, but like if they do a regular, it's not anywhere as common as it is as the light is. But it's a Puerto Rican beer. It's just a good light beer. And the thing that was unique about those, and Carlos was telling me the rationale behind it. All the cans are 10 ounces.
Oh, really?
They're 10
that's
ounces.
weird.
They're a little bit smaller. Yeah. And I walked into a grocery store and I was looking in the beer section, and like all the macro beers, your Miller Lights, your Budweisers, every single one of them, the cans were 10 ounces.
Wow.
But the bottles were 12. It is an odd thing to see, but Carlos said he thought it was because of the heat and everything
It's like
down there. So it's just,
in Canada.
you got these smaller little pony beers, and not quite that small, but anyway, it's good. And coincidentally, a local beer shop in my town happens to carry it, so I brought some out for him. I brought some back from Puerto Rico with me. I brought leftovers back, but I drank those, and I think I actually finished them off on a Clubhouse live stream. But yeah.
Cool.
Clubhouse is good for that.
Awesome. Man, you'll finish a six pack pretty quick on that sometimes, depending on not even paying attention. But so what's this brewery? Is this just a like part of the brewery that you guys all go to with the YouTubers?
Oh, Troll Pub. Yeah. So Troll Pub is it's a restaurant, brewery restaurant, or actually I shouldn't say a brewery. They have somebody else contract brew a couple beers for them. There's like they have like their own like some kind of brown ale. I drank a lot of that. And the last couple of years is good, but anyway, it's got a nice. There's a big area inside. There's a couple bars. There's an outside area, which was nice for any of the guys that want to go out, smoke cigars or anything. There's a fire pit. If the weather cooperates, it's a real nice venue. And the first year we had really good service there. A bartender was amazing. He wasn't there when we went back, and there is some mixed reviews the last time or two, but I know Kyle was willing to give it another shot. I think it went well.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I always have a good time there with everybody. It's fun.
Now, how did you find about this brewery that you just mentioned that what you're drinking now?
I just went into a gas station to grab some beers when we were out there like for the first time, and I was just looking to see if there was anything that was like Ohio from we were out there, and I saw this, and I was like, okay, let me grab it, and it was pretty good, and
Rest is history,
I've just gotten it each time I go out. I've never seen it in New York, but it's good. So
yeah. It's funny with like, I don't know about you, but when I go into a lot of like even like the typical local beer stores, like where we've got one in our neighborhood, and I go in there and I'm like, I always go there and I'm just like, I just get lost. Like you get this brain like lock where you're like, I can't find my beer that I usually go to, but then you're like, well, what looks good physically? Like you're not going to obviously know what it's going to taste like. And then you just like end up grabbing stuff. And I always end up grabbing the wrong stuff. I don't know what it is. I have to rely on others to actually realize, what a good beer is sometimes, because just some of the mainstream ones just, they're hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah, it's I got lucky with it, and they sell it in like the 15 packs. They sell big tall boys of it. It's all good. So
yeah, cool, awesome. All right, well, hey, good to have you guys on. Mike, Tortoise Overland, thank you for coming to hang out with the Northeast guys here. We appreciate you. Welcome to the crew. Make yourself. You are. I mean, in essence, we put out an APB a long time ago to a lot of different hams, and not everybody likes the live stream kind of format and being on video. So we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us because it's cool. And heck, you earned your stripes with the Live Free and Ham live stream from the Near Fest. So after that, you were golden. Nothing could go wrong.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity and definitely appreciate it, and I want to help as much as I can, so we're here.
Sweet. Awesome. Cool. Well, we kind of alluded, I guess, in our thumbnail, Paul is just going to drop in via parachute, and we were going to just talk about anything and anything anywhere, which was awesome thumbnail, Mike, as always. You don't disappoint. I swear you should just make a business out of it. You probably like millions with all the YouTubers out there. They would like, just go to Mike. He'll hook you up.
As I joke, I always say it. I call it my art therapy. It's I can't resist it. Even when Michael was like struggling with AI and trying to come up with a loop, I'm like, let me try. I got to try something, I'm not a graphic designer or anything. I'm just messing around and just having fun. But
you just play.
We all need our creative outlets.
Yeah, true. Dang it! Just top
my therapist tells me all the time that doing creative things is really good for your mind, body, and soul. So.
Amen to that, my friend. Amen to that. Why we do YouTube, right? Somewhat. Yeah, funny because like I don't know about you guys. Like I guess we'll just kick it off. Before we kind of dive into.
Real quick, I just want to ask you guys in the audience, because I know we're using a new platform. To us, as is not StreamYard. It's something new, and Eric and Paul have done this. I'm seeing a little bit of a lag with Eric. And so I just wanted to ask the audience, and then those of us who were here, you can put just put something in the chat. Let us know if things look good or if something seems off. definitely, pipe up in the chat or let us know, because, we're kind of, this is new to a lot of us. So let us know if things seem off or whatever. If my face gets redder, it's just an Irish tan. That's all. So don't be alarmed.
Mike is getting more casual by the minute.
Eric is definitely a little laggy, at least to my view.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I will keep an eye on that, because
I'm in the back end, right? Like, I'm not watching the live feed, right? So in the back end,
nor am I.
You're just a little laggy.
I'm watching the live feed, and it is a little laggy.
Huh. I being a little laggy, or are we talking just like everybody?
No, Eric is.
Nope.
You are.
Just you.
Just, of course, it's always just me. Why not? Just me.
Insert Chinese overdub here.
See, we're gonna go with the $5.
Jody,
what was that? Sorry. Yeah, Jody hitting that one up there. Hey, I'll go with what Jody said there.
Yes. Thank you, Jody.
But hey, let me go with you on that one. I can, if it gets worse, guys, let me know. I'll just pop back out in, because I was in earlier, and that, I find if I camp out, that tends to cause problems. So we'll drop in and out. It won't matter. But all good there. So I don't know, kick things off. What's been going on with you guys? I mean, anybody want to take it first? I mean, obviously a lot of stuff, in this past 2 weeks, but anything like in the week that you guys did, anything exceptional? POTA, man, I just spilled my beer, so I'm going to step away while I go mop this up.
No one's going to be able to one up Paul. Like, the dude's jumping on airplanes.
That is true. So, be right back.
Yeah, we'll just let Paul take it. Go ahead, Paul. Tell us.
No. Literally, you guys talk about your week first, because
Since Friday, I'm just getting over being super sick. I don't know what it was. Cold, flu, COVID, scam virus. I don't know. I'm just sick. It started Friday night and the whole weekend, and I'm just clearing everything out of my chest right now. But God, I was sick. And I didn't want to do anything. Just felt like I got hit by 3 buses. So yeah, it's been a fun week. I'm just it's Friday. I've had this whole week. It's my vacation, and I've been sick. So great time to be sick on vacation. Yeah. Other than
Isn't that always the way?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's funny because I don't know about you, Eric. How often do you guys catch yourself looking at the SFI index and stuff like that and thinking, yeah, today's not going to be a great day to go POTA, and then you talk yourself out of it? Am I the only person on the planet that does that?
Nope.
No.
I look, but not that often, but sometimes I'll look in advance just to see if higher bands are open or not, and to have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason, 9 times out of 10, when I go out to play radio, I don't have a lot of time. And if I'm using, a go-to antenna for me is a 17-foot telescoping whip, which is pretty quick to, tune up or whatever. But, honestly, you'll feel those minutes every time you got to get out of the car and change bands or something, because you're like, oh, let's give 12 a chance. And, crickets. And so you just spent that time, getting set up, tuning, and now you're going to go back out and all right, where am I going to go now? And now I'm going to, it just takes time. So sometimes I'll look more for that, but if I have time to go, I'm going to go. I've gone out and when there's solar storms and we've, struggled with 100 watts to get, the minimum contacts, but I look at it as a learning experience when you have to slog through that. So what it's like if it happens when you're out there, but I've never talked myself out of it.
It looks like the chat is telling me that I am more Bruce Lee like today than I am normal. So let me pop out of this. Yeah. Let me pop out of here real quick. You guys continue the crew here, and I'll get my self back under control here.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Michael. My son stayed home sick from school today, so I'm crossing my fingers that it's not gonna manifest to anything else for anyone else in the household and stuff. Cause like, it just, I got 2 kids in 2 different schools, and then they are all involved in different after school activities. And so it's just like a petri dish, and it's like, it just spreads. And so it's like,
I work out in the public. I work commercial radio. So I am every place, hospitals, you name it, old folks' homes. I'm everywhere that the people are sick. Yep. And I literally have felt great Thursday going into Friday. Friday night, it just hammered me. Saturday, I didn't get up until 2. I was done. And kids going in and out of school. It is a petri dish. I told my kids, I said, you want a good immune system? Start licking the handrails at school.
Yeah.
You'll have the best immune system in the world.
Like Keith Richards.
Exactly.
Get that Keith Richards immunity, man. Oh.
Hey, Paul, I have one question for you, sir.
Oh, okay.
How do you not eat your beard when you're because it folds all up when you're every time I see that, I just start laughing my head off because your whole mouth disappears and all it is eyes, nose, and goggle.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You would think it would go straight into my mouth, especially because like I literally have a grin ear to ear, but it just kind of stays in the front.
Yeah, your turtle was fun too. Interesting that you edited that out just as it happened. I'm like, damn it, I wanted to see that.
No, that's actually that was how the footage was filmed. So the instructor that was with me that day, she was a young girl, super nice, but clearly didn't really understand my level of inexperience. and so I had no clue how to do turns, right? So that particular jump, the goal was to do a 90-degree turn to one direction and then back to center, and then a 90-degree turn to the other direction and back to center. But because I didn't know how to do turns, like I literally just started spinning, and so the previous jump was my first where the instructor releases me. So you're actually like free falling by yourself, and they're close enough to grab you. And when I got unstable, the instructor pulled the parachute for me. And so like I didn't want that to happen again. So when I started spinning, I panicked for a moment. And I was like, well, I don't want her to pull the parachute for me, so I'm just going to pull it myself. But because I was I was kind of like on my back and my side at the same time, and so I deployed it really funky, and I went actually through the parachute as it was opening. And if you put that video in slow-mo, you'll actually see my leg get hung up as I leave the frame.
Oh yeah, pogo on left foot.
Yeah.
All right, is Bruce Lee back or not?
That good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I get.
What happened?
When all else fails, Grasshopper, reboot. It's literally my life.
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on again?
Yeah, I did. Thanks.
Did you make sure that it was plugged in, sir?
Radio Shack. Relax.
Nice.
All right, we're good. Okay. What did I miss?
Well, Eric talking about getting sick and turning in the air.
Yeah.
All flipping over like a turtle. It was,
because he likes his belly scratched. That's why.
Yep.
Rubs are better. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Rubbed, scratched, poked. you let me know. Yeah. So today it was kind of one of those things that I was trying to allude to is that I lured myself into a POTA problem where like I could almost convince myself not that I should go out and do a POTA. And so I was like, all right, fine. So I argued, like, I literally is like that moment where Cameron sits in the car and argues with himself in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I was literally having that discussion with myself over and over, like, do I go? Do I not go? And so finally I just said, screw it, popped open the app after where I was, and ended up going to activate Saugus Ironworks. And when I got there, it was really cool. But of course, like, I pull into the parking lot and guess what? I get a weather alert saying, hey, it's going to rain in 15 minutes. And I'm like, big old F you, like right there, you know, right in my face. I was like, you know what? I'm going to challenge this. And so I set up all my gear and I was like, okay, let's start. And I spun the band I was just on 20 because I figured that'd be the fastest way. And 20 was literally like, it felt like a ghost town. I could spin all the way up the general band and it was just like static the whole entire time. I didn't hear anything. Like there wasn't even like a hint of a small station. I was like, am I not plugged in? Like the whole 9 yards, just kind of arguing with myself over like what I wired wrong. And, you know, lo and behold, I found like one POTA station out of the blue. But yeah, so long story short, I'm like looking at my watch, watching the weather, thinking, how am I going to get 10 contacts in? So I said, screw it, I'll start calling CQ. And literally, I think everybody came out of the woodwork because I had a direct pipeline. You ever have those times where you just have a direct pipeline to like one state? And it was Tennessee today. So everybody was coming in from Tennessee. So yeah, I got 11 contacts before I started to get super soaked fast. And I was just like, okay, well, at least I feel better. At least I did a POTA.
So I will say the only time that I will ever debate with myself on whether or not the conditions are the reason why I don't go out is if the K index is over 3, I just go, nah, it's not even worth my fucking time. Like,
why so?
Otherwise, you know, no. So like, I mean, any of the other solar conditions, right? Usually it's manageable, right? But when the K index is like 3 to 5, you're not going to get out. Like it's just not going to work. So that's the only time I'll go, nah, solar conditions, fuck it, not going.
Yeah, this week's been terrible with solar too. So.
Oh, the son's, she's an angry bitch.
Oh yeah, she's been firing off.
Scorned woman. So I don't know. Well,
no disrespect to the ladies.
No, that definitely not.
Well, the HF bands may have been garbage, but I had some fun on 6 meters, so that's cool.
Yeah, dude, I really wish I could have done more out like activating, like where you had. I saw your video, Mike. It was an awesome video, and I was just like, I should have just not done it from my shack because I'm just not in a great place for like 6 meters, no matter what, and I didn't have a vertical to like make it really worth my while. So yeah, I heard nobody at all at 6 and around here on 6.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody on 6 at all around here either. It was quiet.
Yeah, it's going to depend. Like I was able to do what I did because of the ham density where I am is like the best way to put it. Like we have a LAR club. There's a lot of hams in the Finger Lakes region. And, you know, I put the word out. We got a lot of interest locally. There were people locally in my county going out to do POTAs on 6 because of this. But I was so humbled with some of the comments and the emails and stuff I got when I shared this on the POTA page and QRZ and everything else. And even after, a lot of people were like, nah, we tried, we didn't get anything. But then there were others that were like, man, I got from Texas to Washington or New York to Georgia, and some of these other things. And they were just blown away. And I know it's a challenge. Like for me, I don't spend that much time on it unless I know there's going to be activity because I never have a lot of time or as much time as I would like to spend playing radio. But, you know, it's a chicken and the egg thing sometimes with the, you know, band being open or people not being on the band. You know, it's like, do you need the opening or do you need the activators or what, you know? And it's just, if anything, I just hope to generate some interest, and encourage people to give it a shot. So, and it seems like it's working.
You seem to have like the magic button. I don't know, or you've been like granted or gifted like through all of the HF gods of like, Mike will forever be known that every contact will be made on 6 meters with Mike and VHF and UHF, you know, because like literally you've done a video, and every video you've had, like, especially when you do the high bands, it's like you're making contacts. I'm like, I go out there, I could have like a tower, and I'm like, why am I not making one contact? So it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, for anyone that didn't give it a shot or was discouraged or wants to try, the summer months, they say 6 meters opens up. And in June, there's the VHF contest coming up around the 14th or 15th or so that weekend. And you're going to see a lot of activity on 6 meters, whether it's on FT8, sideband, CW, because there's going to be people contesting out all over. And if you happen to get an opening, and I got an opening in the contest last June, and it was just like, whoa, you know, I'm working people in Texas and wherever, like on 6 meters, it was nuts. But you know, that's a good time to get on and play, even if you're not contesting, whether it's VHF or trying something new like RIDI. Like I went out when I did RIDI and did it during a contest, just because I knew there would be activity and I'd be able to do easy exchanges and stuff. So contests they can be a pain if you're a POTA activator for sure, you know, and you can't get a frequency or hold it, but contests can also be a good opportunity to try something new. So
cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to, it's on my bucket list. I want to start doing more for sure.
I've got a POTA question.
Yeah.
Ask away.
Okay.
I didn't know we raised our hands here.
Anyway, so I have not activated a park. I have not gone out, but I have hunted my butt off. My question is,
yes,
when you go out to a park, now you look at the POTA map, you bring up POTA.app, and you look at the POTA map. Can you be anywheres in that park, or do you have to be in that designated little marker that they have? That's my question.
You have to be within 100 feet of the park boundaries.
Okay, that's it.
Oh no, that's for a trail. That's if it's a trail.
If it's a trail.
I thought that was across the board.
No, that's just for a trail, because you know the trails can, and we have one that goes through here.
I'm thinking Reed's Ferry here, Eric.
Yeah, the trails you got to be 100 feet from, because you don't want to block a trail that might only be 5 feet wide. But the parks, you got to be within the park boundaries.
Okay, because I live up next. Oh, sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to answer Paul's question, Reed's Ferry is not really a trail system. It's just basically a forest. So there's not really like an actual entrance at the beginning of that park based off of any of the maps I've seen, except for a little sign that someone's posted there to say, hey, this is a trail that we've created kind of thing. So I've always used just like the 100, as kind of just if I can't get in the park, I'm going to like park as close as I can to the gate, because that's as close as I can get.
Okay, because we have property on the Allegheny National Forest, but I know I can't do it from the house, but I know I can do it from driving up the road and going up and going on into the forest, so to speak. But when you look at POTA, you type in Allegheny National Forest and it gives you a point, and I'm like, do you have to go to that point?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And one of my Elmers in my club is the map coordinator for New York, and one of his jobs was to go out to all the parks and decide where to put the pin. And they decide, because there's some big parks, like in New York, we have, the Adirondacks. You've heard the Adirondack State Park is one of the biggest parks in the nation, and it includes multiple counties, but there's only going to be one green dot on the POTA website in this massive, massive park. And they're going to pick a common entrance or the middle or something. But I know New York, I feel really lucky. We have not just a lot of parks, but the state does a really good job with the park maps, whether it's a state forest, wildlife management area, or a state park, and they'll give you the park boundaries. They'll designate where the parking areas are and some stuff like that. So it gives you a good idea. I'm sure some states do a better job of it than others when it comes to getting those actual maps.
What was that website Carlos posted a video on? Because that's pretty accurate.
All right. So, you
there we
literally read my mind, and I just threw it in the chat for everybody. Absolutely use that website because it uses the GIS info.
Yep.
And so it gives a much better picture of the park boundaries.
And when you hover over the map, it actually creates the grid location of the actual like boundaries of the park while you're looking at the map, which is totally awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
thanks, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yes.
So Tortoise, I would say, use your own discretion, for most of the parks you go to. Like I know there's a park out on the Cape, right over by Marconi's museum that's nestled in a private neighborhood, and there's no like real big access to set up. It's all fenced out and stuff like that. And so I've always just operated from the truck in the parking lot or just a little bit, in the general area, but it's not, you just got to kind of be like, the biggest thing is don't be in the way of everybody else. Like don't put up an end fed that runs across the parking lot where people can take it down or, whatever else. Eric.
All right. Hold on. My favorite park, right? So behind where I set up, there's a trail that goes into the woods.
Yeah.
And that I throw my end fed half wave up and over that trail, and it comes down in the trail, and I don't give a flying fuck. People can walk around my goddamn antenna.
I remember a few times I'm like, hey, guys, there's an antenna in the tree. They're like, oh, what? And then dunk, they hit it. And it's just like, yeah, that's the antenna we were telling you.
That's it.
They're like, oh, sorry, no problem. Yeah, it's you try your best. That's all you really can do. Like there was a neighborhood in oh man, I can't remember where the city was. It was somewhere in the northern part of Rhode Island as I was on the way home, and it was literally like kind of on the bend of a neighborhood, and there was not even enough place to park on the side of the street because the woods was so thick I couldn't even get into it. So I literally had to I just threw my wire antenna out my window of my truck and let it hit whatever trees were like kind of hanging. So I have this like 6 foot wire, 6 feet of the wire from the edge of the passenger side door going out into the woods. I've done some crazy stuff. It's just insane. Like, you just do what you got to do to make it happen. Right.
Well, in Massachusetts, there's a couple parks in Western Central Mass that I was like, let's look and see what parks haven't been activated yet. And they're the tiny little islands in the Connecticut River that is designated a wildlife refuge or something. I'm like, all right, so let's get the canoe or the john boat out and let's go activate the little island.
So a quick question I saw in the chat, people were looking for the, so I asked the question, do people like to see the chat in while we're talking? Because we can put it in there, but I just figured you'd like to look at our, lovely faces more than you want to see people's chat and everything. Hey, this is
Hey, ding dong.
Yeah.
There's Izzo.
Mm-hmm. All right. Have a good week. Nice seeing you guys. Thanks for joining us. Just kidding.
At least Michael sent me the link.
Yeah.
Bye, Eric.
Bye, Eric.
Okie dokie. Then we're done.
Boy, do I know how to end the show.
Yeah, you do. Oh man! So Izzo, we did post a link at least 3 times in the channel there, so that's okay.
Listen. When you got nothing better to do, I want you to scroll to like April, and there is nothing in there. There is the beautiful thumbnail that MAK did, but I can't find nothing.
I posted it to Mike. You posted
Izzo. I shared it again with Izzo for him.
My head's about to explode.
It's gonna explode, man.
All is good, man. This is why we have multiple systems and safety nets and double parachutes and.
Yep.
So I got to ask, Izzo, are we in the underground bunker tonight?
No, we're in the garage tonight.
That's what I thought.
This is a little different atmosphere. I'm not used to seeing pipes and buckets and
beer taps.
Yeah, and the shovel, because every good Italian has a shovel.
Has a shovel.
Has a shovel.
Mhm.
seriously.
Yep. And
No,
it ain't for
I took-
gardening.
Yeah, for gardening. I took down the the Eskimo tent because basically it's winter's
Gets
over.
hot.
I think. Yeah, it does, but I missed it the last week or so. It hasn't been all that warm here on the
Yeah,
Connecticut
that's
coastline.
true.
So,
hmm
I
Yeah.
feel like I jinxed everybody, but no, so I'll bounce between the back porch, downstairs in the shack, or here in the garage, which I like because there's a shack here too. I have like I'm very very flexible. I wanted to
Cool.
keep myself so.
She's just short of a beer fridge, right?
So what are you guys talking about tonight? What's going on? What did I
I,
miss?
I was gonna say we're not really a whole lot of anything interesting, but all good stuff either way.
We were just talking POTA though, so
Yeah.
some chat about whether you let the solar weather make the call for you, whether you go out and play or where the park boundaries are, things like that.
Yep.
I
Totally.
have found I'm trying to determine, and I think we all do this, right? Because now that we have such access to some great websites and probably some
Mhm.
apps and everything else, you can look at data. We know it's about what? I think according to Tamantha, for what we learned, I believe it's anywhere from 3 to 6 hours old. But it's still a good reference, I think,
Mhm.
for us, including going to spotting pages, turning on your radio. But I think for me, when solar winds start hitting 650 plus, 600, 650 plus, and I think it's the K index is screaming high. Am I right, Paul? I think
Yep.
when that starts to scream high, I'm not going to waste my time. But I have been surprised, and maybe this is all about learning, right? Because hey, man,
Mhm.
we're all learning,
Mhm.
right? Excuse me. Under six, I used to draw the line at 500 solar winds. Not anymore, because I've seen the POTA spotting page. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be like walking into Thanksgiving dinner and get me a
Mhm.
plate of turkey and sit down and that's that whole armchair copy and you know you could struggle, but it still could be fun. And I think if you lower the bar, so for me, instead of me trying to get 50 contacts in maybe 2 hours, so what if I only get 20? Who cares? I
Yeah.
still went out. I still played radio. Maybe I'll try a different antenna. Um, it's been interesting though. Like I said, what you can do when it's not the great, but I've been watching sunspots. The sunspots have been so low, and it's not like it was when the solar cycle 24 was like in the bottom, rolling into 25. This
Mhm.
is different. I can't even work you guys in the north. I can't work
Yeah.
Mike. It's very, very weird. I'm having trouble getting into Virginia. Some guy was down in D.C. at the National Mall. I think it was last
Mhm.
night. I couldn't even hear him. Now we
Mm.
could all talk about different antennas, but it's very weird. Do you guys agree? It's just very weird atmospheric conditions, and I don't even know.
Yeah, it has been weird.
Mhm.
Is it the
Well-
guys with the amplifiers and the beams who are really being heard and making?
I don't think so, because like today was a perfect example. Like I was saying to the guys earlier, like I felt like I didn't connect my radio to an antenna because all I just heard was just kind of static through all of the 20-meter band.
Right.
And then, I heard one station kind of pop up and then I kind of gave up. But I looked at the spotting page and there was over 30 spots. I'm like
Wow.
on 20 meters alone. I'm
Holy
like,
cripes, really?
is there a glitch in the system? Like there's 30 stations out there activating and I can only hear one. Like that just blows my mind. And so, I threw out a call and just called CQ because at that point I was like, okay, I just need to get 10. And
Please just give me to that 10.
I am loving Polo. Polo is so encouraging of an application because as you start to add contacts, it gets closer and then you don't have to watch the little number at the very top that says how many contacts /10. It just pops up a nice little tree and says, hey, you've been activated. And you kind of move on and you're like, oh wow, I've already got 10 contacts. Cool. I'm good. So, I love the encouragement. But it was
that Polo. That I gotta tell you something. If I had the opportunity, last week, or was it last week, to get out to Xenia. I would have loved to give Sebastian a big handshake and hug for all his work, but because I
Mhm.
really, really enjoy. And again, it works for me. I know there's many other softwares out there, and what do we say? Just like antennas and radios and everything else, go find what you like and what works for you, and go
Yep.
have your fun.
Yeah.
But I gotta say this though, right? So how many of those apps will take direct feedback and go, okay, I have a solution to that problem? So, for example, right, I've been a beta tester for Ham2K for Polo, right, since the start.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But I use a Kindle Fire tablet,
Hmm.
and the beginning of April update, it stopped working on my tablet. It would force close every time I opened it. And
Yeah,
so
I
I
remember
reached
that.
out. Yeah, I reached out to Sebastian and I said, "Hey, listen, like I love the app. I love beta testing this, but like it doesn't work anymore." And so he was like, "Okay, I know what the problem is, and it's an issue with older devices." Um, so he enrolled me in the beta testing program for Ham2K Lite, and wouldn't you
Oh,
know it, like that works perfect on older devices. It's got all
nice.
the same functionality. It's light.
Interesting.
Goes
Nice.
great with the beers you drink sometimes.
I don't drink light beer.
So tell me if this is true, because I'm still like, I'm not listen. I am an appliance operator when it comes to computers, smartphones, tablets. I don't submit my data usage reports and other. There's always somewhere in these apps where, do you want to help the control? And I always say no. It's none of your business what I'm doing. I'm not sending you, even though they could probably still see everything I'm doing and everything. But
Mhm.
Ham 2K Polo, I do, because I want them to learn from me of how I am using it, and if that could help them in small, teeny, tiny way, as we say, a salute. Take it. I don't care. This is what I'm doing. Is there are no government secrets here. There's no financial, crazy stuff going on. I'm just a guy having fun. That's all I want to do. I just want to make some radio contacts. You know. So I do it.
Amen to that, Mike. Amen to
But
that.
so I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Is it okay? Send. I'm not sure what they really do with that data. Is there somebody somewhere looking at this stuff saying, look at him, and
Well,
or he had a crash report, or he had a bug?
if I switch my ham radio hat with my IT hat, Izzo, it's all scrubbed of most of your data being about you. It's just anonymous kind of or anonymized data, as they kind of say. So the stuff you're sending to them is probably just more of like, hey, the app crashed at this level, or you had an issue with doing a lookup here or something like that. And it's just mostly just like bug fix kind of stuff. So you are helping them 100%, with being able to make it better. You get to do all of the logs there, Chris. You get to take secretary notes. So get going. You already missed about 45 minutes of the show here, so got a little bit to catch up. So yeah, cool. So I don't know, you guys, a couple of guys here that went to Hamvention. Sorry, I keep doing that. We want to dive into that a little bit. I mean, Mike actually really is the only one that's been there. Yeah, you didn't go.
I think I'm the only one that's here. Yeah. No, Hamvention was great, and I'll say this because this is my fourth one. The more that you can be out there, the better, because there's so much to do, so much to see. For me, the last couple of years, it's always been more about the people. But what I did different this year is got out there, and Thursday went to vendor night for the first time. And
for 4 days in May.
Yeah. And I'd never been there, and I seen some of the videos the last year or so, and I was like, why am I not going to this? I got to go check this out. And it was so cool. So absolutely packed in there. It was nuts for the first hour or so until it started to thin down. But that was a blast. Saw a lot of people there, but just really cool QRP stuff. If that's your jam, then if you're into CW and QRP, that you want to be there. but I added that on. But other than that, like, I mean, it was great time. See, I saw so many people. I realized I spent a little bit too much time in the forums in the beginning, and I kind of called an audible, and it's like I haven't. I've been in too many of these things, and I need to get out and see things, see the boneyard, see places,
Yeah.
see some of the other vendors and what was there. And so I kind of did a pivot and whatnot. But I mean, it's a really good time. I didn't buy much other than a couple things at vendor night. Like to support the hams, doing stuff. And always make a habit to buy a signal stick every year I go out. Because you got to support
what color
them.
Did you get? What color
I got
did you
red
get?
this year.
There you go. See,
Last year was blue, and then I think I got another
Excellent.
glow in the dark the year before.
excellent. At
Yeah.
the very least, right, Mike? At the very
I
least.
always buy a signal stick and an adapter, at least one adapter.
Excellent.
Mhm.
So you got to support them.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not so much about the stuff. I mean, if there's things I need, I can hop on HRO, DX Engineering, or whatever, and order cable or this or that, or I can watch for sales. I kept an eye out in the boneyard to see if there was anything that jumped out, any older radios or something really quirky for like 900 megahertz, like an old Kenwood or something. But nothing.
I was going to
really.
send you a message. You know what I wanted you to look for me?
Yeah.
For 220 equipment, but I didn't, because here's the reality. I'm not going to use it, and I feel I would just be trying to go back to my earlier years in the hobby where 220 here in
Yeah.
Connecticut was so cool. The 2 meter band was so overcrowded here that guys were moving over to simplex. Guys were learning about UHF. There were very, very few UHF repeaters, and then that took off like crazy. But 220 was really, as they say, the schnizzle. If anyone knows that, it was so cool. I had
The term or 220?
both, and a
'Cause-
friend of mine gave me
The shizzle for Rizzle.
It was whatever that means. It was so cool, and I had an ICOM mobile and I had an ICOM HT. Friend of mine let me borrow. You know how the term borrow means. Keep it because I want to get it out of
indefinitely loan.
indefinitely
Yep.
right until I need it back because I want to get it out of my house, out of my garage. He had some homemade duplexers that he made. Now he forewarned me. They're not going to be best with temperatures, with the temperature inversions, but it'll be fine. We set this thing up. It had maybe about a 30 to 40 mile range. It was, again, great mobile coverage, and it was fun to learn about 220. So I figured, Mike, if any places, that would be one of the places to find some 220 stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my friends brought a tri-band when he was in the boneyard. But yeah, I keep an eye out for that. And it's too bad there isn't a whole lot of stuff that's out there that you can buy off the shelves right now. With 220 stuff, it's mostly FM, and it's going to be like the Alinco and the TYT. And
I was just going to say, because I graduated to the Kenwood 741. For any of those remember that line. The Kenwood 740. Remember, you guys, you could pick your third module. It had the 2 meters. It had the 440. Your third band option was either a 50 megahertz, 220, and I think 1.2 maybe.
Okay.
So to make it a true tri-band radio, and I chose the 220, and that was, oh my god, I had so much fun. But then, just like anything else, it lost interest. Repeaters went down. Nobody was really using it, and it's such a shame. It's such an incredible band. I don't know, here in this area at least, it's just.
I have never, and I will honestly say I have to apologize up front. I have never been on 220 whatsoever, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because I've never had the gear for it, and when even I could afford it, I wasn't like, there's not enough of like an interest for other people in the area that use it, and so like I just it's a bummer because I'm like you as well. Like I want to use every band I possibly can.
You know what happens, Eric? I guarantee you, if the 5 of us lived within, let's say, 20 miles or less of each other, and we said, hey, I got an idea. Let's all get 220
Mhm.
radios. Or I know a guy who's selling them for $50 a piece. And here's a mag mount for a quarter wave, which is, not too long. It's probably about
Mhm.
11 inches, 12 inches long, whatever. We would be using it up like crazy, and we would be loving it. That is what has happened, I think, with a lot of things. Just when guys say to me, "Well, I'm going to go buy an Icon for D-Star, or I'm going to go buy a DMR radio," and the first
Mhm.
thing I say to them is, "Wait, did you check your local area to see what you have? Is the
Yeah.
infrastructure there? Because if the infrastructure's not there, you're not going to be happy unless you try to pair it up with something like a dongle device or an Opus, whatever. You got to pair it, but do your homework first. Just don't dive in and get something because you could possibly very
Mhm.
sadly mistaken hurt. And that's the last thing I want to see as a ham in this hobby. Because what happens? They have the potential of walking away from the hobby totally. I don't like
Yeah.
that. HF is the only place. An HF rig, you're really not going to get burned. You're not going to get burned.
No,
Hey,
there's plenty of it. Yeah.
Exactly. There's plenty of activity somehow,
Yeah.
somewhere, some way.
Hey, I've got a Tri-Bander portable in my truck that I'll give you that I think does 220. Let me verify that.
My
But if you
I
want
won't take
220,
it.
let me know.
I won't take it because here's why. There's no one else in my area to talk to with it. That's the problem. There's
So if you
nobody.
gotta,
You
And
just
it
got to
kills
put a
me.
beam up and shoot it towards Long Island. You'll
Shoot-
talk to somebody.
a beam.
No, listen. Let me tell you something. There are these pockets of activity. Am I right, guys?
Yep,
Even
there is.
even like the M17 stuff, I'm finding the mesh-tastic
Mhm.
stuff. There's all these little pockets, and if you're out of the pocket, or do you have the ability to start the pocket? What was that field of dreams? Build it and they will come.
Yep.
Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it doesn't. And but don't do that to me, Eric. But like I said, so the long and the short of this long story is if MAK could find it, he would be the guy to find it there in
Yep.
Xenia. But I thought
Hey,
for
Walt, do
sure
you want
you
to
were
see my
going to say
ham
there was
radio?
going to be.
Yeah.
No.
A 220 radios are always like on my radar because I've just got a couple HTs that'll do it, and but I do have the elk log periodic, so like a Yagi, which I mean that turns the 5 watts into more like 15 or something, makes it a little bit more respectable.
Right.
But it'd be nice, like you guys always hear me say, I got the shirts, leave no band behind. It's kind of it becomes a chicken and an egg. Like
I know, right?
Use it or lose
give
it.
AM a
And,
chance.
There you go, Paul.
we've lost part of 220, never got it back. And
Yeah.
it could happen when 900 megahertz in the near future. And those are and 220 and that are those are bands that you don't see a lot of stuff for. So it's not easily accessible. And then that's why I said, chicken or the egg, because you can't easily get radios that'll do these bands, or is it because you can't get those radios because there's no activity?
If you need 900 radios, let me know. I have a
Really?
boatload of them.
See, guys, we were using the 220 stuff to link when we started having these ideas. A very close friend of mine, he passed away. He's a silent key. He silent keyed in 1998. He worked for the government, but he had access to a dumpster. So you know what that meant. There were a lot of cool stuff, and he got authorized because they were just literally throwing it out. They were not grinding it down; they were throwing stuff out. So when it came to one time we were having a bowl of ice cream and cigars, that seemed to give us a lot of initiative to have some ideas. And a lot of ideas get written down on napkins and all this other stuff. We started using the 220 stuff because it was legal to link the repeaters, and that's how we started fooling around with linking repeaters here in the state of Connecticut. And it was fun. It was fun, and it was legal, and it was a great way of making it happen and everything. So, there
Cool.
you go.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I will love like those modes. Like like high bands in general, just for me, are like exciting to want to get into, but I keep putting them off in my mind because it's like in order to actually really have the fun you want, you gotta throw a little hardware at it. And Mike has shown me a different way for sure that I don't need to do that. But at the same time, I hang around with people that are rovers for VHF, UHF contests, and they've got multi beams, multi stacks, and you look at that going like, okay, I got my HT and a nice arrow antenna. Let's go
like
play.
Train.
This is fun.
The little train. I think I can do it.
Exactly.
But
what's killing me? Tuesday night on Clubhouse, we had Kim K6YYL.
Yeah,
and she was talking about over on the West Coast. She was listening driving by a POTA, and she could hear them calling out on 2 meter 652. I have tried on multiple POTA activations of calling the 652, and the cows do not come home. There is just like, come on, where the heck is? And I've even done it on a weekend. So you can't say, well, Izzo, it was a Tuesday, everyone's at work and this and that, the retirees and this and that are on. But it's so hard here in this, at least in Connecticut. Now, again, I don't know about Western New York, Mike. I'm not sure where you're located. And Eric and Paul, New Hampshire, but Southern New Hampshire. It's just come on. I don't know where these pockets of activity. So if there's nothing going on, I'm really not going to waste my time and do it. I pretty much given up using 652. For a POTA.
We had Amy on our last episode, AJ7 GPI. I'm screwing up her call sign, but she runs the Queens of the Mountain kind of soda thing that they do. A lot of the YLs do and stuff, and it's really cool. But she was kind of an inspiration because she was just like, 5.2 is not really super active, or she was like sharing the example of like she had a couple of new hams that were hopping on 5.2 and calling out, and she was just like responding back to them just to like have conversation to let them know that you're being heard, we're making a contact kind of thing. And she kind of got inspired to like go down to her local clubs and just say, hey guys, why don't we do a 5.2 competition, and let's see how you can do a point system. And so she put together like this whole like thing where she taught 3 other clubs in her area to go do this. And so now they kind of do this 5.2 activity, where they try to make the most points for, bragging rights or something like that. And I kind of look at that and goes like exactly what Mike's trying to do with, the 525 events and other stuff like that. And it's just, we need, more people to like spread that word to make that more, exciting, because once the word travels, then more people start to pick up the Rio and want to do it. It's just like, unless it spreads and people know of it, most people just like, ignore it. And, it's kind of a bummer.
Like
so
this though, Eric, I think we're in a great time, and you're absolutely right. This is really the new grassroots way of getting it out. And you think about it, between this show here and many other YouTube shows, social media, do we have to say anything more? Social media, especially with a great thumbnail, a JPEG going out with it, will catch everyone's attention. And then, everyone's forwarding. And that's the key right there, isn't it?
Yep. Share and share and share some more.
Yep. Yeah, when I travel all around, when I have the radio in either my work truck or my my personal truck, I always have it on 5.2. When I leave my area, it automatically goes to 5.2, and I get bored of listening to audiobooks. I turn up the volume and start making a call on 5.2. And I always get somebody coming back to me, whether it's they're driving on the highway or they're stationary someplace. Somebody always answers, and it's 5.2 is a good thing just to say, hey, look, what's going on? Always find somebody in the same traffic that I'm in, especially on 90. Always find somebody.
Where's this now, Mike? Mike, where's your home? If you don't mind, where's your home at QTH?
I am in Southeast Mass.
Okay.
He's in the Communist Republic of Massachusetts.
Oh!
I live in the only red county in Massachusetts.
Oh, Paul, the visions I was having there for a minute there. Well, it's funny though. I was always hoping, and tell me if this is a stupid pipe dream. We're all friends and brothers here. You could tell me. I was always hoping 652 would be like the Channel 19 for us. Somebody would always be there.
Okay.
Regardless.
It can be.
And just like you guys, I leave my area. I always have a radio monitoring 652. At times, I used to have a scanner that would kind of do it. That did it. It was still scanning in the bank. And it's just maybe they don't want to talk to me. Maybe they hear me and they're like, F this guy, he's an idiot. I don't want or
Break
I get a
whatever.
little
2
rant on there,
meters.
but
Can I get a radio check 2 meters? Radio check 2 meters.
Don't
this
call
is not your
CQ.
number one.
Yeah.
Just
Well, don't call CQ. We learned that, right? You don't call CQ on. But I will still answer somebody who does that. I
Whatever.
don't.
Oh yeah,
care.
I will too.
I don't care. Hey,
Yeah,
man,
well,
make a contact. Get some activity on the band for crying out loud.
Yeah, I'll share this story, and hopefully, maybe this encourages others to incorporate calling on 5.2 for their POTA activations. But I did one, and it was actually a soda and a POTA. But I was on my way back to the car after doing the activation, and so I had elevation, 1,500 or so feet up, and just with my Yaesu HT 5 watts, just called out CQ on 5.2 a couple times, and a guy came back to me, Bill, N2BH. He does a lot with the East Coast reflector. So if anyone watching is on there a lot, Bill N2BH, he came back to me and he was like, you're my first contact. I just got my technician like a couple days. It was like within the last week or so. He had just got his call, and he's like, this is the first time I've heard like activity outside of the repeaters. He's like, you're my first simplex contact. And so it was, you remember those QSOs. That's so rewarding. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, you see where I'm going for the feels with this one. Like that was just like, oh, that's awesome. And so it's why it's worth a shot. I know certain places I can go and I can call out, and because of my terrain, I'm not going to get anything with an HT, but it doesn't hurt to try.
Oh, I always try. It's just the frustrating part of it.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I mean, at least 3 of us, 2 minimum, have all been graced by AF1T here in New England. I mean, he camps out on 5.2 only. He refuses to do repeater.
Really?
So if you know that call sign,
okay.
Dale's in, I forget where he is, not Henniker. He's got a nice little mountain plot that he's got a couple of VHF, gears, but he's a big contester too on VHF and UHF. But everyone I know, like I've been in the Cape, and I hear on 5.2 and I can hear him booming in all the time, and he'll pick me up and, say hello and whatnot. But
So my guess
there are people like that, Mike.
To the Worcester area. So maybe like if you had to draw a line, is he going to hear my 50-watt mobile in like Worcester as if I was?
Dude, he'll hear you. Oh, yeah. He'll hear you in Lowell. Like if you like, even in the Worcester Lowell area, you have no. Well, Lowell's a little farther west, but you have no problem being able to pick him up.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
He's always there, but 5.2, like I think there's a problem, and I don't know if we want to go down this rabbit hole, but have you guys noticed that somewhere along the line somebody's taught other newer hams or just hams in general that the MO is to quickly get on 5.2, say hello, and then get off and like clear the band, and they always end it with hey, it was good to make a contact with you, but we're gonna stay clear of the frequency.
Gotta keep the frequency clear.
For what?
Yeah, exactly. And it always ends up that way. Right.
For what?
Right. There might be an emergency.
Well, remember, okay, so when I got into the hobby, that did happen. So what we did was we looked at the band plan and we made sure our radios not only had 652, I'm going to throw some simplexes to you. 145/68, which here in the state of Connecticut was for the longest time the traditional 2-meter Aries. And the first Monday or the second Monday of every month, we did simplex testing on there. Okay, 145/73, 147/42, and I forget. 147/48. So we did that though, Eric, because make a contact. But again, this was in our group. Hey, go over to 573. So we freed up 652 for others, and there would be a couple of Tremungan trolls. But guess what? They're all silent keys now, I think. Or they're looking at that radio and they don't know what it is. And that's fine, because guess what? You know what I mean? You were mean then, you're probably still mean now. You mean now, and I don't want to talk to you anyway. But but to your point, I see that though. Why not stay on 5.2?
Yep.
This is not 14.300 here, the Maritime Mobile
Yeah.
Net, where we got to worry about some. And if you do have emergency, you know what the word is. It's called break. I have an emergency.
Exactly.
Come on.
That's
Let's
kind
use
of
some
where I was going to
common
go
sense here,
because
guys, right?
it is probably the one person on the stream that's done a POTA on 2 meters on 5.2 multiple times and has had a pile up on 5.2 and worked it. Like you can do that and manage simplex on the frequency in a polite, considerate way where you take a quick pause, any
Excellent
other
point.
traffic real quick, and stuff. Even if you're doing a rag chew, you can still break in between, see if there's anyone else out there that wants to break in or needs a frequency. And
Mike, I used to call them the bridge trolls. Do you remember the days of reading about the bridge troll who wanted the money so you could pass on the bridge to get to the other side? That's what these guys used to sit and just sit there on their frequency to keep it open. Maybe for HF, I can kind of, if a net's coming up, that gentleman's agreement that 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before, I get all of that, and that's respect. I will do that. I will move, or I'll quickly say hello. Give me your call sign. I just made a contact. Now that's one in the bucket. 9 more to go. That kind of thing. But here on the upper bands, VHF, I don't know, what are we holding it for?
Well, it was interesting when we did you see a little bit of this in my activation video from when I went out on 6 meters that came out the other day. We started on 525, 525, the calling frequency for 6 meter FM. And at the time I had 2 operators with me. So we had 3 of us in the park. A 4th guy showed up a little bit later because he came in from Buffalo. But we started working the frequency, and after about 2 or 3 calls in, we got a park to park. And, the op who we get park to park was across the county in a 3-fer. And he says, I'm just getting set up. He didn't even know his park numbers. I give him the park numbers because I know those off the top of my head. Right. And, but after we do that and we finish, he works all 3 of us. Other guys that we just worked that were monitoring 525 jumped in and they wanted to work him, and he was doing his first 6 meter POTA. He was excited to get contact, and I was like, and I mentioned this video, just
I love hearing that.
Take the frequency, take it for a while,
Right.
We're out here at the park goofing off, we're fine. And then he's like, all right, here, I'm going to give it back to Mike, and I'm going to QSY to 5.4, which is the alternate. And so the other park goes there. We take it back over. I mean, he sends me an email after, thank you so much for yielding it and doing this, that. It's like, nobody owns it. We're being polite, considerate, And I know other
hams
people
helping hams.
Other hams who were out participating in the 6 meter event, they want to make contacts. Let them, I don't own it. The other parks out there, work him. Go ahead. Like it's, and people can. It's not hard to do. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. They say. So yeah.
No, dude.
A few times where I have worked somebody on 652, I'm like, where are you? Oh, let's go to 10 meters, and then I'm going to work you on 6 meters. I mean, those are the fun where you can work somebody multiple bands. It's legal in POTA if you won't go. It's legal to do that, and as well as it's kind of fun to me. I'm always learning about where you are, what kind of antenna you're using versus what I'm using, and let's see what kind of ground wave that we can make it work. Where does the string end, as they say? Where is it? Right. That's fun.
Yeah, and what we did is, I mean, I set up the Faraday 6 meter. So the 6 meter Faraday, the Faraday fabric antenna from Ben, him radio rookie, is a vertical, but then I set up a speaker wire dipole as a horizontal because a lot of this was going to be line of sight. We needed to worry about cross polarization and the loss. And so we set up 2 antennas, 2 half waves, vertical and horizontal, switch to go in between them. And I mean, that night and day, the difference. You're talking 3 to 4 S units.
No
and it's the difference between being able to work somebody on VHF line of sight regional, like 4S units. So it's, I mean, it was so neat to see and hear. I knew about it because I'd experienced it, but the other guys were like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. But we had that option that was fun. and it was a neat little experiment. We learned a lot.
I noticed one thing. If you want to learn about antennas, especially VHF and UHF, get with a VHF and UHF contesting group.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Hit them up.
Man, yes, Mike.
When I was in when I was a first hand 30-something years ago, I worked with W2SZ. Mike knows who that is, I'm going to guess, and probably a lot of the other folks here know Whiskey 2 Sleepy Zebra. It's the RPI radio club at Rensselaer Polytechnic, and they always go up to Mount Greylock. And I learned how to contest. I learned how to log, and I learned how to bust my butt learning Yagis. I did Rover for them. That was I think some of the best fun we ever had. We had little dishes set up. We did everything from 10 gigahertz to 6 meters mobile, and we had little transverters. We would with an HT, and we would hook it up and go deet, 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 every band. We liaison on 6 and go through 2, 440, 220. We did it all. And I learned antennas. I learned how well the antennas worked. It was really, really fun. It was the most fun I actually had in ham radio.
Michael, to your point, did you notice this? I've done that twice. Those guys are like my heroes.
Oh yeah.
They're squeezing every watt out like a QRP. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum of QRP, where you want every single watt.
Oh yeah.
To get out.
They're getting anything out of those transverters.
Right, and they're going to make sure they are not the loss. You talk about this and that, and these guys are serious. And you can learn so much from them.
Yep.
And yes, you're on the mountain. I remember going up to Greylock and having such incredible time, and I'm meeting a group one day. Walked up to them, they're like, "Yeah, come on over here. We'll show you what we got." You didn't have to tell me that twice.
Was that the contesting group, or was that for the VHF?
I don't even know, man. I was just driving around. I went for a ride. I went for a ride, and
you went for a ride from Connecticut.
Yeah. Well, we used to take the go up to 91 North. What's the is it Route 3 or that goes across the? It has some type of nickname.
80, 84.
No. Route 3. When you get into Greenfield, you can go
Route
east
3,
or west.
Yeah.
And then we would go up to North Adams.
Yep.
I forget a Mohawk Trail. It's called the Mohawk Trail.
Yep.
And we would take that, go up into North Adams, and then shoot our way down south. Sometimes we would shoot our way north on Route 7 into like Rutland. And these guys, like I said, they are serious, and you can learn so much about them. But like one of the things I took away, many things I took away, was they want to squeeze all this power, making sure there is almost infinite loss.
Right.
To make sure
what I found interesting is at 2:00 in the morning when they said, "Hey, can you go check the rotor on the 6 meter?" And it was a whole tower. The towers that they brought up there, most of the towers were rotatable. And you get up and you start climbing up, and you get up just so high, and all you see is fog below you, and it's just
you're the antenna boy.
Oh yeah, I was the antenna boy, because they're like, "Here, go check this real quick." But they were making amplifiers out of Klystron tubes from microwave ovens, and they had so much home built stuff in this. But it was part of the radio club. WA2AAU, Dick Fry ran it, and we would build and do everything at the Earth Station up in Schenectady, and it was a blast. It was so much fun. It was just setting up, tearing down, fixing stuff while we were on the go, roving, hitting every freaking grid square I could possibly count. It was. You
learn about grid squares. That's where you really learn about grid squares. Right.
And then the four. Real quick, right? You go to the 4 spots, and boom, boom, and you actually have to move. And it was like a military operation. go to this grid square, we'll contact you, then, then do this four square, and then we had schedules. It was crazy. It was a military operation with these guys, but it was down pat, and we never missed a contact, and they knew where we were supposed to be when. They would rotate the beam on the direction to where we were supposed to be, or the dishes, and we would be there. And absolutely so much fun.
Mike, do you remember the horns? Did the guys? I think it was called the horn antenna.
Mhm.
Yeah, I forget and I think that was for 1.2 and higher, I believe. But
They had 1, 2, 2. They had 1, 2. We have a portion in 2, 4, I think. We had something in 5, and I know we had 10, and we had 24.
it was explained to me that the precision that you wanted to
It's a laser
aim
beam.
that antenna, right? Because if you moved it, if you think you moved it maybe a half an inch, you were really changing really where that signal was literally where they wanted to
Yeah.
go, and they didn't. So they were very precise of where they wanted to aim that signal.
We had the tin can antennas, basically. It's a coffee can, and we had them all lined up on a piece of wood on a tripod with each antenna, and we would aim that towards Mount
I love
Greylock.
Love
And
it.
get it straight, and then we would go from transverter to transverter with a portable and make the contacts. And I tell you what, it was so much fun.
Greylock is if anyone out there listening, go to Greylock. It's a
Oh,
fun
yeah.
place. Bring the family, the whole 9 yards. But if you get to play radio, play some radio while you're up there. And it may be, I'm not sure if it's a Poda Park. I can't remember now if it's
I
a
don't
Poda
know.
Park. But regardless, even if it's not, go have fun. Go have fun. You will have fun. I will be very surprised if someone says I didn't have fun. So
It was a blast.
I changed my background for you, Izzo.
yeah. Hey, Mount Washington. When I
There
went
we
up to
go.
when I went up to
Yep.
I've been up to Mount Washington twice, and each time it was just amazing. And each time there's a shelter there, and I knocked on the door. I was hoping somebody would answer. I had a feeling they were looking at the peephole because I'm sure how many people do that. They're not gonna, you know. I'm like, come on. And one time I had my emergency badge, and I was hoping that would kind of like get me in. So I don't know. Maybe the guy was in the bathroom at the time, but or maybe they just have this policy: we're not answering the door for anybody. And if that's the case, but again, that's another fun place to play some radio, as well as the many mountains of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I'm sure Maine. I'm sure Maine is the same way. Parts of New York. Um, New York was a very weird because like some of the lakes, you get into like this lower area. I have found,
Yeah.
like a Saranac Lake, beautiful area.
I love
But
Saranac
when
Lake.
I got to the cottage of where we were, I think we were kind of in a bowl, so it was kind of weird. It
Yep.
was just kind of a weird, but.
Hey, Izzo, just for your information, Mount Greylock State
Thank you.
Reserve is US
5.5.
5635.
Okay,
Yep.
good. There's some inspiration to get back up there, to get my butt back up there. Then.
Yep. Pac-Man Adanok is the same way too.
My kids.
Yep.
I mean, my kids might have been in diapers when we brought them. So there you go. That was 15, 18 years ago. So
Hey, look, it's like full circle. Eventually, they'll be able to bring you, and you'll be in diapers. But
I'll see you by the fence. Dad, where's your dude wipes? Where in my Poda bag?
Reach deep,
Yeah,
kids.
I say Eric makes a good comment there. Talking about the antennas and the dishes and stuff and the gain, and that you can learn. And I'll just kind of close that whole VHF loop with. There's a lot that you can learn when you operate on those higher bands, and you learn about antennas and gain and being able to. It's easier to manufacture at higher frequencies with lower or shorter wavelengths. You can easily make a Yagi for 33 centimeters versus 20 meters, right? You're not going to want to hike up with that, but feed line loss. I'm about to buy some coax this weekend for the contest next month, and it's going to be for 900 megahertz and 1.2 gigahertz. So I gotta be very conscious. What's that?
What are you looking at? What do you think you want?
I'm going to get probably a 400 from ABR. I was playing with it at Hamvention so I could make sure it have enough flex for portable use, setting it up on a brief mast and running it into the car. But being able to at least get the antenna up, 10 feet or something.
I'm very happy with their product line. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, I saw a great video last night. I was bored and I was going through their YouTube channel, and they were breaking down. I think it's the 240 model number.
Mhm.
Very interesting. And I think
Yeah.
all these years, here I am worrying about these numbers, and I'm
Mhm.
buying it. And plus, the stuff is burial, is all direct burial now. If you want it, it's good for 20 years. Some stuff is a little bit more. They've really come along with them, and other companies have come a long way. I think you may want to, depending on your length, Mike. You may want to find some LMR 600. I think.
Okay.
I think look at that. I don't know if it's going to have the
Right.
flexibility, but I think if you keep anything under 50 feet,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're running LMR 600, there's two versions. There's a hard plastic version, like kind of like LMR 400, but with the 600, there's a rubberized version that's like Superflex, and then there's a harder version, which is like LMR 400. If you want the flex, get with the rubberized version. I think Tesco carries it. The connectors are a pain in the butt, though. Ask me how I know.
Can I ask you guys a
can only
question
imagine.
about this? About connectors? Is BNC a low loss cable? I mean, I'm sorry, a low loss connector.
Yes.
Compared to N, right? Because
It is the
UHF
same as
is
N.
more lossy, correct? So in the steps of the biggest loss, I'm going to presume, is UHF connectors. Then we go into N connectors, and then we go BNC is better, correct?
No.
Okay. Do I have it wrong?
A BNC and an N connector are the same thing. NC is N connector. B means bayonet locked.
Oh, that's what it is? I didn't know that.
That's
Okay.
what it is. The actual
I showed
outer
up tonight.
barrel and the pin are the same diameters. What? What?
He was doing sign language there.
I
Sorry.
I was
was giving you
affixing
the
my
thumbs up.
bayonet.
Oh, nice. Okay.
See?
I was affixing
Yeah.
my bayonet.
Okay. So yeah. So
He's going to attack that with that red state of Massachusetts.
Ow.
Totally. Yep.
Hey, I'm not here by choice.
Look out, I'm coming with my musket and my bayonet.
I was voluntold.
Keep your black powder dry, Paul.
But yeah, BNC and an N connector are the same pins, same inner barrel, so to speak. The only difference is bayonet is the bayonet lock. That's it. They're the same exact connector. So you can take a male BNC and put it to a female N connector. Or is it the other way around?
I didn't know that.
No, it's the other way. No, you can do. No, you can do that. Yeah.
Yes, you can do that. Yes.
So yeah, it's the same identical connector. It's just bayonet lock and thread lock. And Mike, if you're gonna do microwave, I would recommend RG142. It's the gold stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
It's super low loss. It's not super high power, but it's really good for microwave.
Yeah.
Well, how much power are you going to run on microwave, Mike?
It's 1.2 gigahertz. Technically, isn't microwave yet, but it's we get included in contests for microwave and stuff. So it's kind of like that debate: is QRP 5 watts or 10?
But I don't think you're going to be running more than
20.
But anyway,
50 or 20 watts, right?
No, yeah, you're gonna be running 10 watts or less. My HT for 1.2 gigahertz is 1 watt. That's it. Now it's gonna go 1 watt into a 14 element Yagi with 15 dB gain. But yeah, it's just 1 watt, and then the 900 is at 3 watts. So, and that's going into another 14 element Yagi, same thing. So, I mean, that turns into more like 45. That's like a mobile, mobile radio equivalent from just like a little HT because of your antenna.
Yeah. Yeah. The 142 is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's good coax. It's thin. It's flexible.
Okay.
It has the shield is actually silver tinned.
Yep.
It's not just copper. It's actually silver.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's good cable.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, there's definitely a lot to learn when you do when you operate in like the VHF space, like a lot of those things that you remember from your tests and your studying and all that really come into play because you're at the extremes now with higher frequencies and loss and everything else. I think it's helped me on the HF side to better appreciate propagation, understand antennas, and the importance of good coax and setups.
Directivity.
Yep.
That's all I got. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Tortoise says 20 watts is 20 watts.
Oh.
Haven't we heard that before, Tortoise?
Yep.
Very good.
Yes.
Hey, I don't think Izzo knows who Tortoise is.
How did you get how did you get one?
Yeah, how did you get one?
Because
I met him.
He came to the People's Republic of New York, and
So you felt bad for him because he fell into the lake. That's really what it boils down to.
Upstate, well, hang on though. But upstate New York is not like New York
I have
City.
one of those.
So
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
In New York's a big state like California is, and like Northern California is way different than Southern California, and there's differences. Yeah, we're much more like the Midwest.
I'll bring you one, Eric.
Thank you,
Everything
Paul.
north
I
of
appreciate it.
90 is
Frank.
wood.
I'll send you guys. I'm going to send you guys out some for sticker packs and whatnot. So yeah, I'll get them your way, Eric.
I appreciate
Speaking
it.
of
So do I
stickers,
know Tortoise? Do I know Tortoise? I just don't. I'm not putting the name, the YouTube name and the face or a call sign.
I don't know.
Together.
What name and face do you want to put to him?
Really, Paul?
Yeah, that's
I
Tortoise.
didn't know that.
He's a small little New England channel that we torture from time to time.
I don't think I have you. I'm gonna have to like your channel then.
Yes, you will.
Yep.
Hi, Izzo.
Oh my god! So, I feel
See-
I feel embarrassed now because I hate when that happens.
See,
And
we
you
brought
know what? We should have told him, and we should just played with him for the rest of the night.
Oh,
we
they would have
baited-
messed with
we-
me. Oh, they would have messed with me real good, and they would have been breaking my balls for the next 6 months.
we brought on the professor from Stanford who is an expert in RF signaling and propagation. So meet Mike.
Well, it's my pleasure.
How's my audio, boys? Am I killing you still?
Perfect, beautiful.
Okay, well, good.
5'9".
I'll leave it alone then.
5'9".
Now, if we could just turn Izzo a little up, we'd be all right.
He's
You
good.
want me to get a little You want me to get a little closer, or
No, I
I
think
can
it's
get a
good.
little closer to the mic
Closer.
if that helps.
There
Yeah,
it
that
is.
was solid extra dry. Yes.
Okay.
oh, wait a minute. It's actually supposed to be like this.
What?
Two for flinching.
Oh man. All right. Well, so where do we go with this, man? I don't know if I want to get into the 1F rant because I don't know if I'm in the mood for that.
No, there's so much crap about that, and I understand where you're coming from, Eric.
Mhm.
I wholeheartedly agree with you that you should throw a freaking temper tantrum. But there's been so much BS. I just my whole For You page on YouTube is just filled with it. I'm like, I'm
Wow!
The world, the internet has spoken.
Should I get that
I know,
shovel ready?
right?
Should I get that shovel ready back there?
We're gonna be burying Yesu in the backyard tonight, guys.
Everybody's like, ooh,
I think it's.
I just got it. I'm taking it out for a freaking photo. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I don't care.
I guess can we just all agree that we all love to hate and like Yesu at the same time? I guess that's like what I've come to. I do too, but I hate him at the same time. Like I don't get it.
It's the BS.
I know something. I must be maybe one of the few. I don't care. I wasn't part of that. I had a deposit down.
I was.
And then the animosity came.
Mm.
That how come they didn't release maybe my radio, or yours, Eric? Maybe.
I'll throw in this caveat. Let me just cut you off real quick. I wasn't mad that they allotted radios for the convention. Fine, whatever. I was mad that I got an email saying, "Hey, your radio, we were accepting it. You've got an order. You're ready to order. Go ahead, send us an email." And then not even like 24 hours once the convention started, I get an email from Ham Radio Outlet saying, "Hey, thank you for your order for your radio. We've applied your $35 discount to your radio. and basically, credited my account that they, basically use it against, some other ham must have used it. Like, because I called them up and I'm like, where did my $35, deposit go? And they're like, I don't know. Don't have the radio. I'm like, I don't have the radio. I haven't purchased the radio. And you've already told me that it's been sold to somebody else. And yeah, so at that point, I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss because it's like, I didn't get a chance or say just, whether or not I wanted to get my money returned. So yeah, just, it's a,
So we have various topics of the radio. It sounds like, I know me personally. I didn't have a dog in that one. I also didn't have a dog into what I'm seeing out there because, no disrespect, I don't want to spend any money right now on another radio like that. I'm happy what I have. I'm happy for guys who have them. I'm happy for guys who will be getting them.
yep.
Show me your videos, and I'll be happy for you. But I I think I think we've seen this already. Haven't we? It's just another notch in the belt. Didn't we see this with the Icom 705? Didn't we see this with the Zygu or the G90? Uh, and there's going to be another radio that's going to do the same thing. I think, right?
Mm.
It's just who we are in the hobby. And
It-
now the fact that we have social media pushing
Mhm.
it out there.
I do want to say that I was listening to Ham Radio Workbench, last episode. I think they had Eric from Ellicraft on, and they, why am I forgetting? Schmitty was talking about how they were going to eventually start working on building a remote, kit for that, basically the Optima. So I think we're going to see this huge blow up of, third party vendors creating like cables and stuff like that, even though Yaesu has said it won't work. Every electronics guy, at least I trust a lot of the Ham Radio Workbench guys because they're much smarter than me. They're like, oh yeah, it should be no problem. So they'll engineer something that will make that thing remote mountable, which would be pretty
That
cool.
was, what that was. Hold my beer and watch,
Mm.
and I will show you. I
Yeah.
will build it. And you know something? And then getting to the thing with the accessories, I saw that with the Icom 705. Maybe I was kidding myself and being with the ignorant statement that I don't need anything else. I have the 705. Next thing I know, I wanted this stand. Next thing I know, I wanted the POV case. Then I got to figure out what am I going to put it in. I tried a couple different things. What antennas am I going to use? Let's just stop kidding ourselves. You are going to buy accessories for
Oh,
your
yeah.
stuff. Go have fun. You only live once.
Yeah, but do you think it's fair?
Excuse me.
Like here's my only gripe with this, and I'll end it here because I want to honor Mike a little bit here. Like why can't you install a Wi-Fi and a GPS module? Like I'm in IT, they developed those chips so small that should be embedded in that device, even if it made it like an eighth of an inch or 16 inch of it thicker. Put the damn thing in it. Like I would be afraid, and I'm a klutz sometimes when I don't want it to be, if I bought it and I had the GPS dongle plugged into it, I don't want it to be the second 1F or the first 1F on the planet that tumbles off the picnic table and hits the ground. I mean, like it would be nice to have that status, but at the same time, that's a small little radio. That thing will hit hard. So, and it will guarantee snap that little GPS dongle right off, and so.
I think it was retarded to make it a dongle. Why didn't they put it inside?
Just put it in.
Absolutely, it handicaps the radio.
It's already,
Think about it this way. Here's my rant on it. And I love my ICOMs, but I love Yaesu's, Kenwood's, Alinko's, and all that. That said, you think about having to add the dongles, or you got to have the fan, or you got to have all these snap-on accessories and adapters and all these things to make it work. It's like what Yaesu gave us was a new Mac. And I'm a Mac fanboy, but you get a new Apple and you're using proprietary cables and dongles and all this. And yes, it just works. But at the same time, too, it can be frustrating when trying to play with
the Icom 705 caught that similar flack of how come you don't have an internal tuner into this thing? You put it into the 7300. And we don't know what goes on. I would love to be the fly on the wall during the R&D meetings and all this other stuff and these prototypes that come out, those secrets, all that, secret squirrel stuff, because what is the reason why? The only thing I will tell you with that FT1 is the rubber inserts in the back of the radio. You pop them off. You better put them in your pocket, or you better have
Yeah,
a
you're gonna
back
lose 'em.
25 or
Lose 'em.
something.
Yeah.
Yep.
That surprised me. And just as a general observation.
Yep.
But I think we will all have our love of a radio. Like me, I'm the biggest Icom
Yeah.
fanboy. All of a sudden now I bought a couple of Yaesu pieces. In the public safety world, I was always Motorola. Now I bought a Kenwood Viking radio. Well, I'm being forced to, but I like it though. It's a great radio.
Yeah.
So one of those things. So we sort of cross, and we're still going to have fun. But as the end user, I don't think we'll ever really know why. Like some of the things that you just said.
Mhm.
Why they didn't do it. You know, if again, just like you said, if they just made that polymer maybe just a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
would it have worked? Or maybe they tried it and they
Yeah.
found there was a conflict, but they won't just tell us why. But tell us why then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's like it would be transparency would be awesome from them. Like, and I wouldn't like fault them if they said we just couldn't do this because of the design timetable. Okay, so fine, plan it for the future. But you know, like don't create that side slot like that they use for the Bluetooth module and not make it like the APRS module, like or the GPS module or whatever. Like you just make it pluggable so you can put many things in there, and it's like Mike with the dongle example. Like, I mean, yeah, you can put any dongle you want on a Mac these days, but you just have to have the dongles to do it. So, make it the same way, make it modular. Anyway, so I'll close this down.
Joke that went over everybody's head.
Which one? Oh, okay. Jody's apparently designing something that's too expensive, but if either way, man, if you could design something that solves the problem, I don't care. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of people that'll be like, here's my money. I'll take,
So what's that radio? So base price that radio is what, about $1,800?
$1,500.
Just
15
for the
without tax.
It's $1,400.
Yep.
Holy, God bless America. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and you can use this. Like I was watching KM4ACK's update on the APR stuff, which fell short on the floor, but not his video, but the fact that APRs did. He was using a third-party dongle, so it's possible.
Hey, all right. So speaking of dongles and wanting to get off the fucking stupid new Yaesu radio topic, all right, Eric.
Go ahead, Grant.
Eric, back in the day, right? Like last year at some point, you were talking to a guy that was going to take that fucking stupid Bluetooth module and reconfigure it for the 891.
He's still doing it. Yeah, he's got it. He's got a prototype.
Has there been any updates on that?
Yeah. I can't mention much because he swore me to secrecy because he still wants to.
Can I get a prototype?
I don't know if you kiss the ring and let me know.
Yes, it's not the ring. It's not the ring that's going to make it work, brother.
It's the guy from Canada. VE2.
It's not the ring. It's the dongle.
The dingle dongle.
Kiss my dongle.
Oh,
That'll
man.
work. That'll work. Yeah.
There's the show title.
If we ever had, an actual podcast to go to.
Yeah.
Thank God the show we don't do, shorts or anything like that.
I don't see why not.
It could go really bad south fast. So anyway, well, let's get off of the 1F and move on to something different. I figured. Oh, here we go. Nice. All right. Well, what else you got? I mean, anybody got any?
Who wants to hear about skydiving?
I do.
Oh, skydiving. Fine.
Would it drop in with it?
Your video. So again, I don't know what the hell I'm watching, except that it was you, right?
Yeah.
But when you were showing us the different layers, can you explain that to me as well as many others? And if they have not seen your video, they got to watch your video like I did. What's with the different layers, and were they trying to teach you how to do the tumble and the roll and learning the hand signal, getting it into muscle memory, that when we're telling you to do this, because you were doing it at different levels, correct? There was 3 levels in your last video. Can you explain the how, what, whys?
Okay, so the very first skydiving video that came out from Current, right, was it was my levels 1 and levels 2, and I had to repeat it. I don't know what just happened
Who's
here.
playing with studio mode?
Oh. I was curious what that button did.
Okay.
I turned
All
it
right.
off.
Dennis the Menace there.
Press the button. Press the button. Hey, it's shiny. Go touch it.
Yeah. So there's
He had a naked lady. He had a naked lady in front of him, and he had to touch it. See, this is what happens.
That's what happens. Right?
So yes, each level is a series of progression. So level 1 and level 2, it's just practice touch, right? And so what it is it's getting you comfortable and familiar with the deployment process, right? And maintaining stability while you've got, instead of having two arms in front of you to maintain that stability left and right, you're taking one arm and you're putting it behind you to pull the parachute so that the other arm needs to compensate. And so levels 1 and 2, that's what you're learning. Level 3 is the first time that the instructor lets go of you and you actually experience the feeling of free fall on your own. Now you're supposed to maintain some semblance of stability. I didn't, which is why I had to do it twice. Level 4.
Fooled me. You look seriously. You couldn't have fooled me. A guy who doesn't know what you're talking initially looked all great to me.
Well, I appreciate.
No,
that.
I said this very sincerely. It looked great to me. I mean, look good to me. Unless you're telling me we need to work on technique, that's what it sounds like, and strategies of this. If I'm going to do this, I need to do this to maintain my stability. Once again, stability is the key word here.
Yep,
got it.
And honestly, the biggest thing is relaxing. You have to be loose, because if you're tight, then what ends up happening is your body puts an odd force on the wind, and that will increase your instability.
Interesting.
And so so when I got to level 4, where you have to do 90-degree turns to the left and to the right, I didn't know how to turn at that point. Like, I had no idea of what I needed to do with my body to naturally initiate a turn. I spent $200 and I went to the iFly wind tunnel, and that's where it clicked. They were like, okay, no, look, like, this is how the wind flows off your body.
No kidding.
And so you have to adjust your body to move with the wind. And so once I got that tunnel time in, things got a lot easier in the sense
right?
that, like, yeah, I understood better how it worked. So the last video that I put out was levels 5, 6, and 7. And so with level 5, you're doing 180 and 360-degree turns. Level 6 is when you intentionally make yourself unstable. And so that's where they want you to do barrel rolls, and they want you to do forward flips and back flips.
Yep.
Because that makes you unstable. And then as long as you understand to get back into that neutral position, it stables you right back out. And so if you watch the video, my level 6 jump was really, really, really good. Like, I exited the aircraft very nicely. So I was looking up at the plane. And now when you come out of the plane, you've got the relative wind coming off the plane because the plane's moving forward. And so you step out into that, and then you ride that hill, is what they call it. You ride that hill down to where then you're belly to the earth. And so yeah, so I finally got that exit right where I came out right and I leveled out good, and I made my barrel rolls and then my flips, and the the unbelievable like feeling of putting yourself where like literally the earth is spinning around you as you're tumbling, and then you just go back to that free fall position and you stable right out.
Mm.
It's so cool. Um, so yeah, so 100% like that latest video. I encourage anybody and everybody that wants to see it, please go watch it. It was a
It's
ton of
fun.
fun. All my AI songs are I write the lyrics and I tailor it specifically to that video. Um, so that was my favorite set of jumps, right? Where like I actually started to have some fun in the sky again. Because 1 through 4, I honestly, my nerves got the better of me. I was so racked with anxiety of, how do I do this? And how do I do this the right way? How do I make sure that like I'm not just going to spin out of control and, end up splatting into the fucking earth, you know? Like, and so yeah, so I got a lot of a confidence boost from the tunnel and understanding that neutral body position and what that position feels like. That it made those jumps so much fun. So today I got to go up and I I was I was at the drop zone. Well, I'm living here in the Grouch Mobile Command at the drop zone. But so I walked over to the hangar at 7:30 this morning, and by I don't know 8:30 9 o'clock we were up in the air. And today's focus was the next level of my progression, the next things that I needed to learn, which is flat tracking. And so the purpose of tracking is when you're with other skydivers in close proximity, you want to be able to turn away from each other and then just kind of go in a straight line away to give yourself some separation. That way, when everybody deploys their parachutes, you're not deploying on top of one another.
Makes sense. Comment. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a very foundational skill that I will build upon, and and it feels weird because you go from focusing on the horizon to you're putting your legs kind of up, right? And so you're putting your body more in this position to give you that forward motion. And so your head is pointed down and you want to look up because you want to see the horizon still and kind of maintain that stability. But what happened to me in my first jump today was I was doing a bunch of this where I was like kind of like a potato chip. And it didn't feel that way to me, but watching the video afterwards, like you could clearly see it wasn't nice and smooth. It was a doop 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 doop.
Well, you can learn now. Obviously, the advantage of your instructor was taping. So again,
Yep.
for us in the audience, 5, 6, and 7, to me, you can go back now and see what changes you want to make. You make a very interesting point because, and I'll never forget this. Many of you don't know it, but I was a skateboarder. Okay, back in the late 70s, we built our own
With the bell
skateboards.
bottoms and
Look
No,
out,
no,
Tony
longboards.
no.
Hawk.
No, no, no. It was this is all Tony Hawk wasn't even born. This is like 1977, 78, and I remember scrounging my I was a paper boy, and I delivered newspapers, and the money I made, I learned about trunks. And I remember one guy looking at me. He's looking at me and he's like, excuse me. He says to me, "Why are you so stiff?" I said, because I'm afraid. I don't have that natural balance. This is why I'm not a dancer, and I'm not. I mean, I love to ice skate, It's totally different. He says, no, it's not.
Were you a figure skater in high school?
No, not a figure. I had hockey skates. I had hockey skates.
And just to let you know, before you finish your story, Tony Hawk was born in '68, so he's 57 now. So he was old. He was still around. He was around when you were.
But he wasn't who he was back
No.
then. He didn't make it
Granted.
until the
Idol
80s.
growing up.
He didn't make it until like what, the middle 80s maybe.
Yeah, give or take.
But
I mean, or
listen,
late 70s.
I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid in my neighborhood. But Paul, as you said that, that memory came back of him saying to me, when you're ice skating, you're not stiff. And I probably was when I was 4 or 5 years old, and Jason's right. Why are you so stiff? Yes, I was. Still am. And you can't do that. So I could see, and you're in a, listen, let's be real, you're in a totally different environment than skateboarding. But I could see that as you're saying that with the body, just let it go a little bit. Don't be,
Let it go, let it go.
let it go.
Sorry, waiting for
okay. Frozen. Yeah, the old
Well,
Frozen
and
reference.
another interesting point of it, right, is the pressure that you feel from the wind. It mimics water. The pressure that your body feels from being in water.
So are your ears
Okay.
popping? Is any of that going on, or
No, so I mean, your ears pop as you climb to altitude.
right?
But once you're at altitude, like it's fine.
You're good. You're good. Okay.
Yeah. But the mental thing, right, is to try not to like swim
Why
because
not?
when you
Why not?
well, because that doesn't help you in the wind, right? Like because there's nothing to tread
Yeah,
like
you're just
you're in
going
water.
down, not that way.
But I thought
but
there
it
is some buoyancy with the wind, kind of, or is that a totally wrong statement? There is no buoyancy.
no,
Isn't
there's
there?
no buoyancy.
Yeah.
No,
Resistance.
no. What it is it's you're using your body to act as like a sail,
Mhm.
and so that's why you want to put your hips down, right, so that your body kind of makes that cup shape to where the wind is slowing you, but it's kind of flowing evenly off of both sides of you. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
Listen,
but I'm a fat
it's the
man.
French in me.
Except,
That shit's gonna be rolling off of
Fat
me.
guys
I mean,
don't work.
I love this, Paul. I love how you explain, because, like I said, stuff that I never would have thought. Things that you just explained in the last 5 minutes.
well,
Yeah. Well, so with the tracking aspect, right? Because you want to generate that forward movement. Um, it's a slow progression, and so my first jump this morning, um, it was okay. Just use your arms and work on taking your arms from being in front of you and bringing them slowly around to your side to where you're a little more streamlined and you get that body position. But then the end goal is going to be where I'm going to have my legs pointing up, my head tucked down, my shoulders cupped in, and it's going to be a nice like kind of head down forward track across the sky. And so yeah, I did two skydives today where I just practiced tracking back and forth until I ran out of altitude, and then it was okay. All right, 6,000 feet, no more exercises. Um, you know, when I get to 5,000 feet, I'm watching my altimeter. 4,500 is my pull altitude now.
That was my next question for you.
Yeah, so early on in the progression, right, your pull altitude is higher. So you're initially you're looking at your altimeter at 6,000 and 5,500. You're waving and deploying
Why are you pulling out as a beginner at a higher altitude versus as you get more?
because as
Right.
you gain experience,
Mike's getting a little red there. I don't know what he.
What is there?
The
Wait,
pull-out comment.
Did I say once again? I'm sorry. This is not Clubhouse. We're not gonna go there.
It still goes there.
Paul
this
Izzo wants to know how
Why
high
can't
you
we-
are when you pull out.
Why can't
Exactly.
Why can't a bunch of men just be professional here?
You're at the wrong
We're like
side of
8-year-olds.
There's got to be some coffee group you can go hang out with.
Okay.
Izzo.
Okay, Paul. Why is it when you release the parachute at a higher altitude versus a lower altitude? What is the
Yes.
It's
What is the
safer.
release like there, Paul?
yeah, no, it's 100%. It's safer
okay?
for somebody to start by you deploy at a higher altitude. Gives you a little bit more canopy time, a little bit more time to practice canopy maneuvers and those things. But yeah, as you progress through, your pull altitude gets lower and lower and lower, and there will come
Yes,
a
they do.
time in the very near future where I will do what's called a hop and pop, and I have to do two.
I'm sorry, Jody's comment's a great one.
Jody's always great.
That's a
Oh, there we go.
If you don't know WKRP and Les Nessman and that whole, you got to go watch that.
You gotta watch it.
You got to go
Yep.
watch it. Paul, what is the let's say when you become experienced and Carlos? Let's use Carlos as an example. What is the release height?
So I mean,
Or the bare
Carlos
minimal? Or the safest?
Carlos
What
could
is the safe?
Carlos could ride it down to anywhere from 4,000 to 3,000 and pull in that range and be fine. So the hop and pops, one is at 5,500 feet, and one is at 3,500 feet. And basically, what that is the pilot knows that you're doing that specific type of exit, and so he will slow down at the assigned altitude. You open the door, you make sure that the spot's good, that you can get out and safely fly back to the drop zone. And as soon as you exit, you're deploying your parachute. And so I'll have to do that at 5,500 feet and at 3,500 feet.
3,500 feet.
3,500. Yeah,
That's not a lot of time, is it?
that's not a lot of time.
Now, I got a question for you.
It's
Paul.
never a lot of time, guys. We know that.
I
never
know
a lot.
you enjoy like the parachute time more often than
I
the
absolutely
free fall,
love being under the canopy.
from what I've heard
yeah.
on the podcast. And if you're not subscribed to their podcast, subscribe to Live Free and Ham. But if you deploy too early, like at higher altitudes, does that become problematic for like steering and stuff? Does it make you more susceptible to currents?
That's what I was thinking
or
of. And
wind
where do
or-
you want to
or-
land, especially for where you want to
Yeah.
land, right?
Not on the runway.
It's not going to bring you farther. It's not going to drag, or isn't the wind going to push you farther?
No, he
Where
can
you
actually
actually wanna
fly
go?
it.
Well, but so that's where you have to factor in a few things, right? And at this point in my progression, now before the jump, I have to review the winds aloft, which is the winds at different altitudes, and the ground winds, and then plan where I'm going to exit based on the winds aloft, right? So if I know, okay, I'm getting out of the aircraft at 14,000, but there's a 30 knot wind that's blowing from north to south. Well, in just the free fall time, in that 60 seconds of free fall time with a 30 knot wind, it's gonna drift you probably half a mile.
Okay.
And so you have to be able to account for that. And then whenever you deploy your parachute, that wind is going to continue to carry you. Now, when you're under parachute, you can actually have a little bit more control, and you can turn into the wind. And when you turn into the wind, you lose the forward speed, but you're still losing altitude. And so the student parachutes are designed to have a forward speed of about 14 knots. And So if you're using a student parachute, you're traveling 14 knots into a 14 knot wind. Essentially, you have zero forward speed, and you're just coming down like an elevator. And so,
How
yeah,
fast?
you have to take
What
all
is
that into account.
okay? And has it been determined how fast are you dropping? Like, is it like 500 feet a sec? Or throw me some numbers, or throw us some
All right.
numbers.
So in free fall, from the time you exit the aircraft to the time you hit your first 1,000 feet takes about 10 seconds. From that point,
Okay,
every 1,000 feet that you fall takes 5 to 5.5 seconds.
I'm trying to do some fast math here in my head. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you start at
We don't do
14,000, I know, but if you start
Essentially, right. If you get out 14,000, it takes you 10 seconds to get to 13,000.
Mhm.
And then every additional 1,000 feet that you fall is a 5.5 second fall.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so on average, I'm getting 50 to 60 seconds of free fall time per jump. One of my jumps today, we couldn't go as high because the cloud ceiling was too thick. So we exited at about 12,500. And so, like I exited and I did my movement maneuvers of my tracking, and then I looked at my altimeter and I was like, okay, I'm at 55 or 5,800 feet. Like I need to stop doing maneuvers and just focus on making sure that I pull at my assigned altitude, which is currently 4,500 feet. But at that point, like by the time the parachute is open and I'm under it, I'm at about 3,000, maybe a little less than 3,000. So you
so you
have to be
just
close
so
enough
you
to the drop
right. So
zone.
you lost 1,500 feet as
Yeah,
soon as you
yeah,
popped it.
because the it takes a second or two, right, in the motion of going back to reach to deploy, and then it takes another 5 seconds for the canopy to open. So you're still falling. You're falling at a slightly
And Paul,
lower
I
rate
want to
as
know.
the canopy
I saw
opens.
what you
But
did too, and this is very good. I mean this very sincerely. You mimicked yourself with one arm, but you still pulled the other arm up. So that's very no. So I'm being very. That's what you got. Is
it's
that's muscle
muscle
memory right
memory.
there. That's muscle memory, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Always love it when Jody calculates it down to the minute.
It's sort of like riding a bull. I never rode a bull, but I can picture you're holding on, but you got to keep your stability with that.
Mm,
Yep.
What were you saying
might be a cheaper
before
hobby
about?
though.
I think I don't know which one's more
Depends
dangerous.
on hospital bills.
True.
A
True.
Fu Manchu who doesn't want you on there versus. But you mentioned before about what you wanted to do. You're practicing laying out. If the wind tunnel was bigger, would that give you more opportunity and more time to play around? Give you or because those wind tunnels are not all that big, are they?
No, they're not. No. I think the biggest benefit of the wind tunnel is understanding just how your body reacts to the rush of the wind coming up. And yeah, you're doing it in a small little tube. Um, but it still gives you at least an idea. It's not the same, but it's close enough that when you're in free fall that like yeah, you could feel the difference in what your body's doing.
To answer Jason, that will not happen. I don't care how much I like tequila, but my due to a motor vehicle accident many years ago that left the Motorola imprint on this when I hit my pager that was up in the visor and my head went flying and I had this imprint of Motorola backwards on my head. Uh, no, that's not going
Mhm.
to happen.
Very cool. Well, real quick here, thanks again to Tortoise, dude, for all the gifted memberships there over my channel. So Bob Koff got one, Dean, JD Meadows, Brian Daniel, and Roger McKinnon. So congratulations, guys, and we'll reach out to you after. But thanks again, Tortoise, for those memberships. Cool.
I was going to say, what did I do?
You gifted a membership. You
Oh,
forget what
okay.
button you pressed it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let me
Did
show
get
you my
that charge
shop.
in your credit card?
I was gonna say I have an Amazon shopping cart I want to introduce you to.
No, negative. Not happening. Hey, Paul, I have a question real quick, and and Todd's been sitting here patiently, smiling and laughing. But who sets your safe altitudes for your jumps? Does your instructor, or is there what's happening there in that
Excellent
procedure?
question. Yeah, isn't it an agreement between both of you? How does that work?
So the United States Parachute Association publishes a manual every year. It's called the Skydivers Information Manual, and so that outlines all of the tasks that you need to perform and what altitudes that you're performing those tasks at. And so yeah, so I'm just following the progression of the Skydivers Information Manual.
Okay. Yeah, because I always wondered. Yeah, because I mean, for in the military, you have prescribed jumps. Sometimes they say, "Hey, we're opening at this ceiling," or et cetera, et cetera. I was wondering how they did the ceiling openings, what your safety limits were, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay, that explains a lot.
Yep. And that's why as you progress, your deployment altitude goes down because
Nice.
your skill level goes up enough that you can safely deploy at lower altitudes.
Oh, the more you know, the more you can burn in. Okay, I understand.
The more you know.
It's like $20
Go G.I.
$20.
Half the battle.
Todd,
Hey, what's up?
what's up, buddy?
Hey, bud.
Sorry for the delay. Stuck at baseball, wasn't good. Got eliminated from the playoffs.
Wow.
So
Well,
now
that
I'm
turned for
down
the
to-
worst.
Now I'm down to two
Oh.
teams.
Oh,
Yeah, you were hoping for a low seed, right, to be able to like just not have to play the last playoff game.
Yeah, the kids they've had two like really off days. They weren't hitting, and we had some really bad umpires the last two games, and this game wasn't too bad with the umpires, but we got this is my luck, right? Kid's on third, he runs and steals second, goes to third, overruns third and starts coming home, gets in a pickle. The kid tags him with his glove, but he's got the ball in his hand, so he's safe. And the umpire's like, he's out. And I'm like, the ball's in his hand.
No, he's not. No, he's
oh, that
Right?
ball.
baseball is
Then-
that?
then So the umpire missed the call, and he goes, well, I didn't see it. He asked the other umpire. He's like, I didn't see it. He goes, well, the play stands.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I
Wow.
said. I was like, come
Right,
on.
all bullshit.
But
Love you, baseball.
anyway, it was all right. It was a good team. These kids were really good, and they all improved, and we had fun. So now it's on to All-Stars, and then I'm done. My coaching career will be over. So 3 more tournaments.
Wow.
Well, Todd, were they from New York? Because apparently the New Yorkers beat
Yeah,
you.
you freaking New Yorkers, man. What a bunch of For those of you who don't know, we were at a tournament over Labor Day weekend or
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day? Yeah, Memorial Day. And I get this team, and I do the scoring for my son's travel team. I do it on this app called Game Changer. And so I got to go over to the other team and get their lineup. And I look at the lineup, and I see like 2 23s and 2 9s, which you don't typically have 2 of the same numbers in baseball. And the 2 23s and one of the 9, the guy who was wearing the other 9 had a full-fledged mustache. And the 2 23s were like my size. And I'm like, there's no way these kids are 12 years old. So in the tournament, you can ask for birth certificates. You can show them.
Can you really? No kidding.
Yeah, because I guess this is a big
it
thing.
legal.
I guess this is a thing in New York because this is the second time they've asked
Oh, it's a New
for
York
birth
thing.
certificates. So my coach is like, listen, if they want to, if they want to, he goes, if they want to cheat, if that's the way they want to win, so be it. We're just going to go out here and play the game and do the best we can. So I was like, all right, I didn't care. I was just more worried that, one of these kids might hit like a line drive and take out one of our kids and send them to the hospital because they're using these triple S bats, which are like amazing pop on them. So, but fortunately, no one got hurt. So this team ends up getting to the finals. And the team that was in the finals, they asked for the birth certificates. And they didn't believe the birth certificates, so they found the website with the kids that they were almost 15 years old, and they forged the birth certificates using AI.
Really?
So I'm like,
just to play a game. That's come on. That's
for playing a 12U.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
So yeah, so it was just kind of funny. So I was giving Mike a hard time last night about you New Yorkers always cheating.
When the kids show up in an F-150 that they drove, it should be
the mustache is rattled.
I mean,
it's horrible when that stuff happens. Like, as a parent who's coached and has kids.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this team,
it's
right?
like, oh my God, it's just a freaking game. Come on.
But the parents must have known. The coaches clearly knew, and then they try to hide it, and so they win it. I said my suggestion was we played 3 games. We should get a third of our tournament dues back. A third of the cost of us staying there, and they should be eliminated from the tournament, lose all their games, and never be allowed to play in New York tournaments again.
Especially at the end when you see them going to the bar and sitting down at the bar. That's cool. So you've heard of this. I don't know why. Not to sound ignorant, just didn't think it happened. But why? Why would you go to that extreme measure?
I love the competition, the playing, but why cheat? Like, if our team took our almost 15-year-olds and threw a couple of them in there, we would have killed that team. But we didn't.
You wanted the reason for that is because they play at their level, and the level that they're playing at is so bad that the coach felt like he needed to basically get a win because the parents were going to basically whip out their pitchforks and torches and eradicate the coaching staff. So that's why they did it.
Oh yeah,
Todd,
that's all.
Very particular set of skills.
If you were going to lose,
skills I've acquired over a very long career, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Yes, they do.
Todd, am I right or wrong? If you're going to lose, let me lose to equal competition.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, look at the kids. The kids were bummed. The good thing is, so that was the first team we played, and then the last game, or the second team we played. Then the last team we played, they almost beat this team, and they were like an elite, but they were tiny kids, but they were good baseball players, and we almost beat them. We only lost by 4, so. The kids rebounded back and, they went after it. They knew that they almost beat the team that smoked us because they had 15-year-olds and they went in there to win. And, it just ended up, we ran out of time or outs and innings, but they kept it close.
Wouldn't it have been great if you actually kicked their ass?
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
That would have been great. I mean, talking about having payback,
Like, I don't know, like what age do you get to where the coach is like, all right, take the guy out, beam him, like they do in the pros. Like,
college level.
Right, a little too early, but part of me was like, just freaking beam the kid.
College level, man. That happens a lot.
What'd you say?
College level. They do it at college level all the time.
Yeah.
The coaches don't even, the coaches just basically go like this, and that's it. At that point, the kid is going to get.
College is when it starts.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, Todd, why couldn't you protest as a coach? Why couldn't you protest?
He wasn't a coach.
I wasn't a coach. I told the coaches, and everyone was telling him, but he didn't want to really get into it, and I don't blame him. I mean, we were out there just to have fun. I mean, going to this, we go to a tournament every Memorial Day weekend, and it's just a good time with the kids. It's a good time with the families. Everyone's hanging out. We had multiple teams of different ages, and a lot of the kids all know each other. So, we were all at the same hotel. We all had like a big dinner, hung out, and kids playing in the pool and playing basketball and stuff. So it was more of just like the experience. And I just don't think he wanted to get into it. And we weren't going to win the whole thing anyway. So I get what he did. But if I was the coach, I would have asked for I would have asked the guy for the birth certificates, but it wasn't my call. So is what it is. But
That's a tough one.
I knew
That's
something
a
was
tough
fishy
one.
when I saw when they were warming up. I'm like, are those coaches or are those kids? Because they're freaking big kids.
Man.
So sorry. What I missed? You guys just talking about Paul's parachuting
All
sagas.
contesting, everything.
Yeah.
Dude, if it involved amateur radio or Paul, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Discuss, yes. We learned
Yeah, well,
about BNC and connectors,
Nice.
Yep.
UHF connectors. What else did we talk? We learned about the intensity of the VHF enthusiasts, UHF enthusiasts.
Yep.
Mike did not come home with any 220 gear. He only bought a few things in Dayton, right?
Yep.
Right.
What else did we learn? I learned that Michael is really tortoise. What else did we learn?
Hey, Izzo.
So
What?
Can you read that?
what is that?
Yeah, Bear.
BARC?
Oh,
I don't know that
Bearcom?
logo.
Bearcom.
Eric?
Oh, Bearcom. They're still around? Or is that an oldie? Is that a vintage hat?
No, that we are the largest Motorola dealer in the country and Canada.
I didn't know that. I didn't know Bearcom is still around.
Hey,
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
where
I
we're
thought-
for. So if
I
you
thought
need
they
anything-
dissolved. No disrespect. I thought they were gone.
No, we're
Well,
we're
good.
bigger and badder than ever.
Good.
So
Well, good.
Eric, did we talk about 24-hour POTA?
Oh, it's time
No,
to
we
do something
didn't,
extra with Todd.
No. Wrong,
I was going to ask that.
Wrong show.
You got
no,
me.
no, no, no.
Listen,
Wrong
listen.
live
Honestly,
stream.
This is not that show.
that was the first question I was going to ask if Todd took his test. But after I heard about this whole baseball debacle, I'm afraid I didn't want to go down anywhere
testing.
sad and deep.
I'm going backwards, Izzo. I've been so
did
busy.
I told you. So did I.
I gotta get it. I gotta get back in the groove. So, like I said, this year was like my last year coaching because my son's gonna be no longer in rec and he's gonna be just in school baseball and travel. So, I wanted to just it's like you either do it or you don't, right? And you lose it, you don't
Right.
get it back. So that was the year. But what ended up happening is they at the last minute they allowed the 6th graders to play middle school. And the woman that decided to do this doesn't know anything about baseball. So she says, well, we're not going to cut anyone. So they have 20 kids on a team. And on the white team, which is like the 6th graders and all the guys that didn't make, all the 7th and 8th graders that didn't make the main team, they have one coach for 20 kids. I don't know if you've ever coached baseball, but
That
you
ain't
can't
gonna
have
work.
20 kids on a team.
That ain't
Like,
gonna
that's just ridiculous. So the poor guy is like, the poor guy's like, you need help, man. So I had been leaving work or going into work early, leaving work early, helping him practice with his middle school team, then running over to do coach the rec team and practice and play the games. And then on the weekends, I do the travel ball. So now middle school's done, rec's done, but I picked up the all-stars. So now I have all-stars and travel, but travel should be done. We're supposed to get rain tomorrow, but it should be done like this weekend or next weekend. So
What's
that'll
travel? U15 and U12.
he's
U15?
U12.
Okay.
So next year they go up to the 90-foot field. Right now they're at 70.
So then he'll be dealing with mature 30-year-olds then. Who will be
Yeah.
hitting it.
I'll be,
for the guys who didn't make it in AAA ball, they'll be
Yeah.
there.
I'll be suiting up for the U13s. No, it's like I said, I enjoy coaching the kids. I mean, I deal in my job, as a juvenile probation officer, I deal with really, really messed up kids and real, basically a-holes, that just totally disrespectful. And I get these kids, like one of the kids, this poor kid, man, he's like one of my favorite kids. He's just always got a positive attitude. He's like leaving, he comes up to say goodbye to me and he's bawling. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm just going to miss you, coach. And I'm like,
Oh, that's
I'm going to be around.
That's nice.
That's awesome.
So it
That's
was,
good, man. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it really, and they're good kids, and they really enjoy. And I'm just glad they had fun playing baseball.
Especially at the beginning of the season, he wanted to probably take a bat to you out of agitation, and now he
Yeah.
wants to hug you. You changed him around. That's a great.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, no, these
No,
kids
seriously, that's good.
They're all good. And every year I do it, I just want the kids to improve and have fun, and they all do. They all.
Absolutely.
This team was
Yep.
my best team. They all swung the bat, they all made hits, they all could play in the field, made plays. Like it wasn't like I've had teams where it's just been like, oh man, this is like painful. But these kids,
Bad news bears, yeah.
they came to play, and they were all positive, and we had a lot of fun.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
But I got to do a POTA soon. I've been in withdrawals, and I get the alert like Eric's out doing a POTA. I'm like, damn it.
I get him. Oh, here we go. Field of Dreams. I get to Todd. It's the same thing. I see him and Rob and NUG's been popping lately, and I'm like, here I am at work. I'm like, oh. Then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute.
Let's not make us feel bad too, Izzo. I've had you several times, like all of a sudden show up on Ham Alert, and I'm like, I can't get to my radio, and I want to work Izzo. So therefore, it's just as bad. So it's a two-way street here, my friend.
It is too. And I've been working at one of the worst. I call it the worst parking in Connecticut because of the noise. There's there's the Amtrak train goes through there, and I think a few other stuff, and they're doing work on the bridge. And whenever they're welding or whatever they're doing, man, and when that train comes through, all of a sudden my noise level comes up. One time I thought it was a guy tuning up on me. He wasn't tuning up. It was the construction workers. And everybody, I just want to get my kilo. I think I got like 390 left. I got to do, or 380. And I'm only doing like 20 contacts. It's getting like I want to bang out a couple good 75 100s and just get this.
I feel that same way about the rail trail.
I never wanted to get into POTA for a competition with myself. It was about fun. There is something about
you bring friends in to make it a competition.
Friends with beards, beards and mustaches. That's what you gotta bring in. Wow.
Yep. So, do we want to throw a little field day into the mix here just to wrap things up?
Field day.
Since it's coming up and all. Yeah, we know that.
You're not doing anything on field day weekend, are you?
Me? Oh yeah, we got districts.
Hell of a game.
Oh,
this districts is like they're so strict. Like you have to be in full uniform. So I got to go out and buy baseball pants. But you had to be in full uniform. And a couple years ago, we got to the field about 2 hours before the game, and I was just warming up our pitcher, and we were just on the field having a catch, and the umpire, like you would think I was committing like a murder, like screaming at me to get off the field because I was wearing shorts. And I'm like, dude, there's no one here. He goes, these are districts, you can't be on the field. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, all right, I'll go in the parking lot. When he misses the ball, I'll make sure he hits your car.
Hey, Todd, one big guy to another. Are those pants like some size fits all?
Yeah, no, I'm hoping to find some that are like my pant size, but I think they're like, I think they go like extra large, kind of.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, man. It's just going to be tough. And, and it sucks because it's always hot that weekend, and it's just going to be terrible. But
all my softball pants are large. So.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need like double XL.
Well, you're like this big around, Paul, so I don't even want to hear that.
Here we go. I'm waiting for the comments to come. I'm waiting for Joe.
Here we go.
Okay.
Not that those things can do? Suck the paint off your house and give your family a permanent orange afro.
I love that movie. I love it.
That's the best movie. Best movie.
I gotta say, I am proud of this. Right?
Thank you, Jason. Jason's right.
At 18 years old, when I enlisted, I was a 32 waist. At 43 years old, I am still a 32-inch waist.
God bless you.
Blah, blah, blah. You haven't hung around with us enough, you jerk.
when I was a senior in high school, I used to actually, I mean, you wouldn't know it now, but I used to be a distance runner. And we were pretty good. My team, I ran cross country and then trained all year to run. And I used to run like on average 15 miles a day, probably 5 before school and then another 10 after. And we do this all, 5 days a week. And I couldn't gain weight. I was 100, I was 6 foot, 135 pounds. I was skinny. I couldn't gain weight. I would drink like huge milkshakes, a pound of pasta before dinner with butter and cheese and nothing. I go off to college. I start drinking beer on a regular basis.
There you go.
I come back 60 pounds, and my mother sees me and starts bawling. So I call my coach. I go, Coach, I found what we needed. And he goes, what? He goes, I gained 60 pounds. He goes, how the hell did you do that? I'm like, it was beer. You should have let me drink beer. It was all down, it was all over from there. I was like, I've never been down. I'm freaking fat ass now. And, always trying to lose weight and it just doesn't happen.
I've been 250 pounds for 20 years.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like Chris Bricker's going to slide in the boxer's brief question again?
Oh, God. God, no. No.
Oh, he did come back with with this. That's not a bad comment.
That's a waste.
What's a waste?
All right.
We know where to go with that.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So what are folks'
field
plans?
day? I am probably going to do my first field day ever.
Really?
You haven't done one
Hold
yet?
the presses.
I've never done one.
You almost made me drop my
Okay.
cigar.
Yeah.
I would have lost a bet on that one. We all did.
Holy smokes.
There's always been like a wedding, a graduation, or something going on that weekend in June. And
no anniversary this year, Mike?
And stuff. No. I did go out with my son, Ben. He was a tech. It was right before he got his general. And we stopped by the club's field day set up real quick. And it actually worked out well because there was a reporter there. She took like Ben's photo at the GOTA station and did an article and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice for, the clubs get points for things like that. But, we just stopped by, said hi. We weren't there for more than an hour, just to see the setup and everything. But I've always had conflicts, but this year, knock on wood, unless something changes, that weekend's clear. And
Nice.
that Saturday and that Sunday. So,
All right. So what are you doing?
Wow.
I'm not sure yet. I'm planning on heading up to my in-laws have a cottage, Sackett's Harbor, New York.
Okay.
Near the Thousand Islands, up towards the top of Lake Ontario, where the St. Lawrence comes in, and I'm thinking about just going up there at the cottage and setting up, and probably I'm really tempted to just do QRP with the 705 and a battery, and just see how long I can go with, like a.
As somebody that's done QRP for field day, trust me, it fucking sucks.
Does it? Okay.
You'll be chasing
Don't do it.
at You'll be chasing at best. You'll be chasing.
Chasing?
Yeah. I agree,
Maybe.
Paul. That's a tough one, isn't it?
This way, I wanted to kind of see what you guys had to say. I want to try to just do everything up there off battery and whatnot, and whether it's 705 or 7300. But I want to just go experiment, have fun. I've never done it.
Is this the right question? Because I think they did this for Winter Field Day. If they limited everybody, and I don't care who you are, to 100 watts,
100 watts.
Do not try to like Todd's situation of U12s and kids are older. Don't
It
be
still
bringing,
happens,
don't be
Izzo.
bringing
It still happens.
It still and I don't understand why. Can we just be on the honor system, please? What is this whole? I don't understand the human psychology of this. For this particular call it a contest or event, it says 100
Well, that's it.
watts
It's a
or
contest.
less.
There you go. You called it a contest, so therefore people are
not
going
a
to do everything contest-like.
God,
It's
man,
not,
come on, guys.
but what it is.
But I'm looking forward to getting out and playing during it, and whether it's QRP, or if I do the 7300, or if I focus on voice digital.
Bring
Like,
both.
I haven't quite thought that through. I actually have in another tab the rules for field day up. Like, I gotta kind of just like review and get a sense of like how it works, because I haven't done it. But
Is this a pipe dream too? Is this a pipe dream? Because I support Mike too. I
Yeah.
would love to do all QRP for some of these things just to play. But why can't there be a gentleman's agreement from 14, as an example, 14
Mhm.
decimal 301 to 349 will be, choose it, the 100 waters, and put everyone less than that in the general
Yeah.
portion on 50 watts.
Well,
Why can't we do
I
something?
would even
So
I would propose this. We can't use the work bands during field day weekend.
correct, you
Make
cannot.
those the
You
QRP
cannot.
bands.
Yep.
QRP bands. Make
Oh,
those the
that's
QRP
interesting.
only bands.
That's interesting.
I have the solution.
12 and 17 for
And-
for sideband.
This will get like this will generate some conversation. How about if you want to operate at the 100 watts, if you want to operate above QRP levels, you have to be in the extra portion of the band.
That
Oh my God!
that's
You dropped a grenade on that one, but I like that.
Wow.
Is that
Well, to
incentive
push
for what?
people,
We call it
like,
incentives.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Todd.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too.
I would
This
even
is a-
I would even throw the
This has
caveat.
nothing to do with
I'd
Todd.
throw
This
the
has to do with like, hey, maybe this is actually a way to encourage people to test out.
I would throw the caveat that we should use 14300 as the 500 watt frequency.
But why can't we
Ow.
do that even for winter field day? Matter of fact, I'm going to send it up to the winter field day guys it's a suggestion. You guys can, if you can make it happen, make it happen. But even to carry it one step further, if you're an extra, obviously you can run whatever you want. You earned it.
Yep.
You earned it.
And I think you make an interesting point, Izzo, when you talk about winter field day, and they definitely focus more on like the emergency preparedness versus the contest public facing type thing that field day is. But you could make an argument that you get a really good chunk of the band if you're operating low power, say 20 watts or less, because in an emergency situation you may not be
You're right.
be able to do you may not want to be using a lot of power. You're going to want to see what you can do with the bare minimum.
Because I find field day after being very active in POTA now for about 5 or 6 years, I find, as much as I loved field day, I'm finding it very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because and I rather find the new person who has never done it, the kids. I love that there. It's really,
Oh my God,
really
yeah.
a hard time to really bring the kids in when somebody is 1 kilohertz away from you and they're just throwing all that. That's why I'm saying I think it's time. It's time to really look at this and give everybody a fair shake at it, but do it appropriately though. So give a segment of just for the QRP and call it 20 watts or less. Let's just call it, so this way anyone running the G90, I respect that. 20 watts or less, you're going to be in this segment of a phone portion. But something, Eric, I think even better. I wonder if that would even be work for the QRPers on sideband. You can use 12 and 17 meters.
Or 15. I mean, I think those bands not being available is a waste. It's like we can use them anywhere else. Why not use them during field day just because ARL says that they're the work bands? Come on. I mean, I get the purpose behind them and why they're there, but make an exception. Use it.
It's not even an exception. It's looking at the times of who we are. Their QRP stuff has flooded the market over the last 10, 15 years now. Even before POTA, it is flooded. Now more and more people, but it's going to be harder for guys like me, a sideband only guy. I'm not CW, so I'm not making excuses, but it is what it is. So I either got to step up, run the 100 watts and deal with it, or go buy an amplifier and deal with it. I don't know.
No, it's legit.
I don't know what the answer is anymore. You know what I mean? These are all good solutions, I think, and I think it can make everybody happy. If the guys still want to run 800, 1,000 watts, but they got to do it in a segment part of the band, of the general portion, or full bore over an extra. I don't care.
Sorry. In sync over NKOTB is not a possibility. I'll do NKOTB every day of the week. Anyway, yeah, but dude, like, I think Winterfield Day would be like a great platform to start that in. I don't know if ARL will catch on. ARL kind of gets slow with a lot of their changes. Like they attempt to try to make their rules better every year, but I think their rules
contesting's a big part of their membership. I mean, it
is, but it's not a contest. It doesn't state that in their rules. They aren't a contest. So why they make it a contest, but then make it ignore it that it's not a contest?
But then I go back to a point. How are you going to bring a GOTA station in or any other new? Again, if you want to be have that ambassador, who's now going to bring a guy who hasn't played radio in 10 or 15 years. Again, the kids, the ladies, and you're going to sit them in front of a radio, and there is just how are they going to make really? It's not a fair jump off part to be able to introduce somebody into the hobby or come back into the hobby. I think field day is almost the worst time to show somebody about our hobby. I think sometimes.
I would
think about it. Think about every field day that you have been in, and look at all that high end activity going on, and everyone's stepping all over everybody, and it's just.
See, so here's where I differ for that.
Tell me I'm wrong.
So I've done field day as coordinator for 5 years. This will be my 6th year that I'm not doing it. I'm passing the torch on, and I'm actually not going to be a field day this year. However,
so you did it for 5 years, and you're not doing it anymore.
No, I won't say I won't do it anymore, but I'm giving space for others to do it. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm working myself out of a job so I can do something different. Anyway. All that being said,
frequency.
Thank you. Exactly. Well said, Mike. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. So, in essence, the big thing that ARL does every year and tries to promote is the education portion of it. And so, with that, all as I say is that every club should spend a good portion of interfacing with the public in some form or fashion. Now, I know a lot of clubs, they'll go out into a remote place. They'll go to a campground that can't be accessed by the public all the time. Making it more public facing brings in a lot of people. And what we do as a club and what I've tried to encourage people to do is that our stations invite the public to come by if they choose to, but really it's for the hams. Like, I look at it, it's like you got a new ham, you got a new technician, you got a general, never been on HF band. Well, the job of those guys that are running the stations is to pull them in, get them used to, playing in the HF space. But the public needs to be educated and get hands-on stuff about, GOTA and radios and CW and all of those cool things that they can do hands-on stuff with. And that's been super exciting for our club because people are like, oh, wow, I never knew this existed. And they get to ask questions, and then they don't feel pressured to go into our, space that we do, operating from.
But to my point, though, and I follow you, and I think that's all important, too. I do. It doesn't have to be field day to do that. But field day is one of many opportunities, okay?
Yep.
So when you use field day for that, now answer my question. You sit them in front of the radio. The guy says, hey, can I sit in front of the radio and make some contact? So there's your control operator there. And the bands are crowded, and it's a whole bunch of disrespect going on.
So when you say sit someone down, you're talking about someone in the public who's not a licensed op?
Yeah, we've done that. Or that ham whose license is still valid, but he hasn't played. He's coming in. He's had a crazy family life, whatever. It doesn't make a difference what the reason is.
Paul's done this very well because he's been a station captain for us. And sorry, I'm gonna put you on the spot, bud. The idea is that I'll always we get a new ham come in our club or a ham that hasn't been doing radio much. I'll usually stick him in front of Paul, and Paul will usually log. He'll sit him down and say, hey, try logging a little bit. And then eventually what happens is that the guy learns, a little bit of the nomenclature to figure out how to do it. And then Paul will slide over his script and say, hey, this is something you can follow really quickly. Follow that. And we all do that.
Under the worst conditions, he's learned. It's like
yes and no.
Somebody to sail a sailboat in a Category 5 hurricane.
But
my point, is it?
I'm going to say in the past 5 years, I think we've only had 2 really good years of field day where the bands weren't garbage. Like, I mean, we 2 years, I mean, Paul can contest to this or not. Like, I mean, there were times that we were struggling to get contacts on 40, on 20, and forget about trying to do 80. But like, it was just the bands weren't like, they were noisy, but they weren't noisy with contacts.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
Bob's
let me
Sorry.
tell you how much of a great feeling it is
Sure.
to take a child or a brand new tech
Yep.
and to get them to overcome that fear.
Yes, to
Right?
watch their
Where,
eyes,
like,
yes, and confidence level come up. Isn't that great? I agree
yeah,
with
where
you.
you know, they read the script the first time, they're like, okay, and then by the 10th time, like they're on a roll, and they start to really get into it, and they start to like actually enjoy it, and their face lights up when
Oh
that
yeah.
person comes back and goes, yeah, all right, well, clearly you're somebody that's new, like, and they've got the patience, and they sit and they work with that person, like that is the most rewarding experience out of field day.
Yeah.
I want to try to share something real quick. I'm gonna
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna
Yep.
see if this
Share
works.
it.
I'm gonna share a web page real quick, and let me know if you can see me scrolling here. Let's see. You guys see
While
this?
he's doing that, I don't want you guys to
Let me-
misunderstand what I'm saying. I want it all to happen. I just wish field day was a better opportunity, because what I see a lot of people getting tripped up, but it's good to have a good, strong person next to you.
I think
to
if you
break it all
make it
down.
the way you want it, Izzo, you'll be better off like getting other people to see the vision of it. Like, it took me a while to get people to realize that field day is less about the contesting and getting contacts and, you
More
know,
about the
being
people
aggressive, and be more about like the social aspect and learning and, you know, and growing and, you know, just, you know, having fun. Where's
So
that
what I
going,
was
Mike?
doing, so when I was in all your shoes, when I had that opportunity to, I used to tell them, listen, you're going to hear a lot of funky things, like Florida, Foxtrot Lima, West Florida.
Yeah.
You're not going to, for the general
California
public,
West,
they
yeah.
don't know how we break things. This is our lingo, how we break. And I showed them the sheet that had all the
You'll be
different
forever your first, Paul.
sections. But when you start working them as they're listening, they do catch on. Some people, but once again, I just go back to field day. I think is so hard for any club to really get some people, because I've seen so many people get turned away because of they were expecting it to be clear like a cell phone, or clear when they listen to terrestrial or satellite radio. We're a whole different atmosphere. We're a whole different game,
I don't know. Like,
to it.
I guess my experience is a little different, but I think the atmosphere, like the idea of what they're hearing on the radio, actually perks a lot of people's interest, because it's not as clear as a cell phone, and it's not this, you know, kind of like I'm listening to a YouTube stream where the content's at, you know, 4K kind of thing. And so when they see it and you can spin the dial, the first thing I think a lot of people think of is like, wow, that sounded like Star Wars there. Like, that's like where they kind of go, and they're like, yeah, it's like the warble or whatever. And it's just like, when you let them touch the radio and start doing stuff, then they're like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, you know, they kind of see the connection. Then, you know,
here's something funny with field day. I remember somebody said to me, and they were just a tech, but they came to field day, they wanted to learn, and they were listening to HF sideband, says, hey, that sounds like Star Wars.
Exactly.
And I was like, bingo.
Yep.
That's what they used. They used HF radio. They had it a little off frequency, so you get that little warble to it, and
they had a low budget.
Like,
they had to go HF.
Way. I'm like,
yeah, dude. I would say I came from a club, long story short, that basically subscribed to that, you know, ideology of like, hey, it's all about the public. It's all about education. It's all about making it fun. And it was way so far away from the whole contesting stuff. But we have clubs around here in the New England area that, you know, they are focused. They have a script. They have a time slot that you can operate in. And if you're lucky, you know, you could get a good time slot. If you're not so lucky, you get a really bad time slot. And, you know, and it's all about contesting and points and whatnot. You know, I'm not, you know, that doesn't make a club for me. That just makes it a,
to each his
you
own,
know,
right?
Yeah, popular
To each his own
contest.
at that point.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Field day is going to be, interesting this year.
So what are you guys doing up north there? You guys doing anything?
Well, we've got our station usually, and we'll be at the same spot we were last year. So if you're bored, you can come up to hang out. Paul's not operating this year because he's obviously working on skydiving stuff, and he'll probably come and hang out either way. But yeah, we'll have.
It depends on where I'm at.
Right.
I did also get invited to field day in upstate. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
Hey, Eric, is this an overnight thing?
Yeah, we do overnights up here where we're at.
Where's it at?
Up in Goffstown. So yeah, we haven't posted it up on the ARL official site yet, but it'll go up there probably this week. But yeah, we do an overnight. So we'll set up Friday and do all of our antenna related station stuff. And then Saturday we'll be, kind of hanging out, and then we'll do our education pavilion where the public comes in and does all the cool stuff. And then, from there, we roll right into, we'll operate field day, food, and hang out by campfire, and, do all the fun stuff. So
do you guys run separate bands for separate stations with band pass filters, et cetera, et cetera?
We run band pass filters.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. How deep do you go? How deep do you go with it?
We've got a triplexer. We're thinking about doing one single tri-band. We have Ryan, W1SNH, one of our founding members of Liffrey and Ham, but also part of our club. He's looking to donate a tri-band beam, which is a good chunk of money, but and all of the stuff with it. So we're probably going to run those 3 stations off that one beam, and then just run a bunch of band pass filters. And each station, we kind of let them decide what they want to operate. So if they prefer just to do sideband, they'll do sideband. If they're CW, they'll do CW. If they want to do digital and they want to do all 3, then it's just coordinating kind of thing of what band are you on. But I do that because not all 3 of our stations are all on the air at once at any one given time. A lot of times, people get bored, or we just don't have someone to fill that spot, and it's fine. That station just kind of goes dormant a little bit until someone decides, hey, I want to walk over the radio and operate.
What do you use?
Or you've got 4 stations that are on the air at the same time.
Yeah, right.
And the SSB guy is getting blown out by CW and digital.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, we use N1MM, and I fucking hate it.
Hey, I've got N3FJP.
So I have, and it's my fault, and I'll take the blame for it. It's not really my fault. I don't want to have to deal with. Okay, fine. I don't want to have to deal with logging, coordination, and pulling them together and trying to merge that thing to make it work, so I could turn it into a Cabrillo format. So I set up and built an N1MM, basically a Go box, but it's basically a full kit that has Wi-Fi, cells access, and everybody has a laptop that they just plop down, and all connects to the club Wi-Fi that I built, and N1MM feeds the master server, and we're good.
Well, I was just gonna say you can use N3FJP, put a router on it and a switch, and you'd be done.
I would love to, dude. I won't get into the politics, but we have a club that doesn't always want to spend money.
Yeah, but 99% of the time, the fucking N1MM shit doesn't work.
It doesn't always work.
And we can't see where the other fucking station is on their frequencies. And
totally agree. If we could get our club to spend money on 6 N1MM licenses for those laptops that we have, then fine, we'll go N1MM. So you tell me when you're ready to raise that initiative.
I can bring N3FJP.
Well, right, you could bring it, and but we have some people that are very I won't get into the politics side of it, but long story short, I did it so I could take the logs and all the data and feed it, because we actually feed that N1MM server into Kyle's contesting dashboard. So the public comes by and they can see everything that they made contact wise real time. So they get to see how far contacts go. And I can't tell you how much a popular hit that is for a lot of people.
That is,
because they're like, wow, you're making a contact halfway around the world, or someone's doing that. Where's all that? And then, it just brings more questions to the kind of table in a good way.
Yeah, it does.
So,
hey, Paul, tell us how you really feel about it.
Well,
the grouch has come out.
The grouch has come out. Exactly right. Yeah, he's not jumping right now, so he doesn't have a big smile on his face. No euphoria.
Fuck N1MM. That's all I gotta say.
See, I can do that. I just poke that bear a little bit.
Yeah, trust me, dude.
I'm pretty sure Polo, you can log, for someone like me who's not doing it with a club, just would be doing it on my own. I can log with like Polo or
Dude,
Camera.
go-
Polo has it.
go-
I saw
you
that.
can do
Polo
that,
has it.
but
Absolutely.
use World Radio League. They are all set up for that.
Yep.
I haven't tried that yet, and
They're another
that'd
one.
be
You're
interesting.
absolutely right.
Where I'll be, I won't have good internet access.
You don't need to. Yeah, they were the
you don't
local
need
app.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
And 3FJP, you don't need it either. You need it just for call sign lookup, and that's it.
Yeah,
You can
but
log
do
all
that
day
after.
long.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing that I was thinking of is like this year I was going to propose getting like, I talked to the World Radio League guys and they swear that they were going to, from their experiences that they learned with Winter Field Day, that they were going to be prepared for Summer Field Day where you could use one master account and then everybody could log to World Radio League from that laptop over Wi-Fi. And then you can use their dashboard because we have a lot of club members that are, excuse the term, lazy. They don't want to be at the site. They don't want to be operating, but they want to know how we're doing. And so they always ask for like this dashboard. Can we see the dashboard to see how our club's do in real time? And
If you want to know, go to the field day site.
Yeah,
Exactly. Hop in your car.
Get off your ass and go to the field day site.
Man, you guys are turning into these grumpy, lids that these people are already, fighting me on. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but part of field day is also the camaraderie. I know.
Exactly.
I mean, our club
You
has
and I agree.
basically fallen apart. But in the days of field day, I learned there were the guys who wanted to operate, and there were the guys who just wanted to come there and just rag chew for 3-4 hours, and that was just as fun too. That was
back to
just as
paper.
fun,
That's
too.
where I'm saying. Let's go to paper.
Yeah, that's right, Jody. It is.
Spend 50 hours doing your dupe sheets. Love it. No thanks.
Yeah, all the dupe sheets used to
Oh.
kill me. I used to hate that because that was the one job that nobody ever wanted to do.
No, dude, that's horrible.
Was-
You never.
It's horrible.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Why would you? Why would you ever threaten yourself? So, yeah.
And
long story-
the league has that paperwork for that dupe sheet
Oh,
too.
yeah.
If you wanted to do,
Oh.
remember the paper way?
Yeah. Totally. So, yeah, we do field day. Like I said, I'm pulling myself away and training somebody else so I can do something different. But, yeah, it's fun.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, dude, I've got a laundry list of stuff I want to start moving on with.
You know what it is, Eric? It's the same thing that I did with cable TV. When I cut the cord and I walked
that?
away from cable TV and I went to all internet stuff, it was hard
time.
psychologically. But now it's fun.
TV
Now-
remote doesn't work.
yeah, but now it's fun because now I could say I can do whatever I want to do on that weekend.
Mhm.
It's kind of it's based upon my work schedule, but it gives me this opportunity, the freedom to have more fun. And I was having fun, but now it's a different type of fun now. So I think you're going to see that now, as much as it was, with the Oregon and I again been there, done that. But once you break free of that, you're gonna go to another plateau of fun with
Oh, yeah.
a field day weekend.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot more cooler things that I want to start doing that definitely requires a little bit more time. But field days, it's pretty rock solid and nailed down in our club that the guy who's taking over this year will be very successful, I think, and we'll just
because you gave it to him.
well,
Right.
I had a lot of people that helped me create a lot of the ridiculous what I call template stuff. So like everybody knows their job and it's a small little hit list. So when we say, hey, we need a safety officer, here's the 10 things that they need to be able to do as a safety officer. And I can just hand it over to them and they can go off and do their thing.
But now you have the opportunity to treat it like a POTA. You can because just POTA. That's why one of the million reasons why I love POTA.
I would
That's
love
my
to be able to
mini
do that.
Field day. That's my mini field day. Psychologically, I can go to a park and do what I want, how I want.
Field day is every day.
Yes, it
Well,
is. It really, really is.
The one thing I think we stressed with our field days that Paul kind of helped institute, and I don't know if he knows he did it directly or indirectly, is that Fridays used to be our setup day, but then we never really did anything in the Friday evenings. And then basically a couple of years, probably the third year, Paul started like, hey, I'm going to camp there and we're going to have steak night and whatever. So it's been like the premiere night because we drink, we hang out by the fire, we play a little radio, we hang out on 7.200 and annoy the people on 7.200, and we just have fun with it, So it's kind of the cool night to hang out before the field day kind of starts. So that's why we really love it.
Because that's the way it should be.
Should be. I agree.
We did a field day in I belong to a club. It's called the 1900 Group.
Oh, yeah.
And when I lived in Maryland, and we did a field day in Delaware. And the boy brought out alpha amplifiers and a generator.
Oh,
and we were right on the beach. And I tell you what, boy, we were busy. Oh my God. They're like, where are you? And I'm like, whoa, my voice is maxing out at almost 2 kW. Stupid alpha. I was like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, you're gonna run this station right here. And
That's
it was
awesome.
just unbelievable fun. Field days are fun. We camped out on the beach, ate steaks and eggs and anything else we could scramble together, and we were good to go.
Yeah, dude, that's the memories. I mean, that's what I used to do as a teenager with other clubs. Was like I'd spend, my Jolt. I'd have like a 24 pack of Jolt that my mom would give me,
Oh
and
my
I'd
God,
literally go to
Jolt.
field day, and I'd spend a full 24 hours, and like I'd have to like take the next 3 days off of high school because I was like so like sugared up and over like tired that it was just it was fun because I couldn't get my license. I couldn't get my HF privileges because I was a no code tech. So yeah, they loved it because they were like, hey, just let this kid sit there and play full 24 hours, and I worked it and milked the damn thing. So always fun.
Hilarious.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Jolt Cola and Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the old guys who could not wait to go work that midnight shift.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was a midnighter. I worked in the supermarket. I was already at midnight. So my body was accustomed to it. And I don't drink coffee, but man, once I had that Jolt, man, and it was just so fun at midnights to get on with them.
That
And
was the
by,
good
you know,
stuff.
All
by
the sugar
3,
and
4 o'clock.
twice the caffeine.
Yes, and give me, and you walk over to the picnic table, and someone had some cupcakes over there, and then you add a cupcake to it, man. You could just keep on rocking and rolling, man.
If you weren't
until 6
diabetic
o'clock.
now, you were then.
Yeah, for that weekend.
And then by 6 o'clock in the morning, you're just waiting for it because we had a traditional on Sunday morning. Somebody would come in and start making breakfast, so then you couldn't wait for those fresh eggs, the bacon, and the sausage cooking, and
All right, so Jolt, yes, but what about Rip It?
I can't
See,
say I've
these
had
guys
that.
don't know Rip-Its.
Never heard
Oh,
of that.
come on.
These
Swear to
guys
God, never.
don't
What
know
is it?
Rip-Its, Paul.
What is it?
So Rip It came in a can, and it was
A
just
liquid.
oh
Like,
yeah, yep, just pure fucking sugar and caffeine, like straight to the freaking core, like yeah, and
Never heard of it.
The official
and
soft
anybody
drink
that's
of the
ever
US Army.
anybody that's ever been deployed knows about Rip It. They are best drank when they are 114 degrees.
Wow. God, no.
Holy shit.
Oh,
with a pound of sand in your mouth.
there you go.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Rip It.
Wow.
TJ knows. Rip It and Skull.
Rip It skull. Look at that.
Rip It. What's the new the caffeine that you
5
put
Hour
in?
Energy.
5 hour. Yes.
No. It's like the little pouches for tobacco, but it's nothing but caffeine. That's the new thing.
Oh, like a Zyn, but it's just caffeine.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
Well, put it in between your cheek and gums and just let it
Yep.
like.
Yep, that's the new military thing.
All right, I'm down with that.
I am very down with that.
Well, this is why you need to have a safety officer then.
They have a safety officer because of us.
Mm-hmm.
See,
That's
this is why.
that's why they had safety briefs before the weekend.
Totally. Well,
I always thought that safety officer thing. Come on.
it was just a
What
bonus kind of thing. It's like, we never really treated it with like, we had one guy that it was just basically the first year when he did safety officer, he was just joking around. He put on the yellow vest and walked around with, caution tape and wrapping it around people going, yeah, you're unsafe. Step away from the, the radio at this point, kind of thing. So,
I mean, we were always like, "Where's the fire extinguisher? It's somewhere. It's somewhere." I mean, wasn't that good enough? I mean,
if it caught fire, fine.
yeah.
Yeah, there's one over there somewhere.
Yeah.
Are those guy wires? Why can't we just go back to stay away from the guy wires, guys? I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't go over there. You're either going to trip on the feline or you're going to get a clothesline.
Yeah,
and
true.
every once in a
Or get
while somebody would
electrocuted.
forget. But if you did it, if you messed up the first time, you wouldn't do it again. It's very simple.
Mm. Cool. All right. Well, hey, we're getting to the top of the hour here. So we've been 3 hours strong. So thank you for those that have been hanging in there and having fun. I know it's been a blast. I mean, we've talked just about everything. So do we want to kind of go around the horn here real quick? And, you guys can update us on your channels or what's going on, if you're doing anything at all, if you got, something you want to share, fire away. So I guess we'll kick off with N1OG there. Go ahead, bud.
All right. So on my channel, stay tuned because obviously there's more skydiving videos coming. I have it on my list of things to do. There's 2 POTA parks within 30 minutes of me. I've got to meet up with Ham Radio Dude. Sean said he would come down here and meet up with me and do a POTA. I've got to make it up to Wisconsin and hopefully meet up with Chris Radio Life, do a POTA there. Iowa isn't all that far away, so I'm going to try and make a trip out to Iowa, do a POTA there.
Nice.
At
Back
this
out a
point,
couple states. Activate a couple
yeah,
states there. There you go.
At
Nice.
this point in time, I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. So I'm doing something that is unusual for me, and I'm winging it, and I'm just going with the flow. So
Awesome.
you don't know what you're going to get on my channel, but you're going to get something, and it's going to be freaking good. So
Hell yeah.
thanks for being here.
All right, cool. Awesome. Well, how about you, Izzo? What's going on? What's up with the clubhouse there?
First off, I had another great fun night to hang out on Friday night. Kids had the prom tonight. My son the senior, so
nice.
It was that's why if you saw me waving at people coming in, there was kids coming in and out. I did get him to do a picture in front of the DX Amanda. I'll post that in your Discord group. He was kind enough, him and his prom date, gave me a. First, they're like, "Why?" I said, "Just do it, please. Just make your old man happy."
Exactly.
That's all I ask. But
all dads do.
So Clubhouse every Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern time, 7 Central. Sometimes it's radio, sometimes it's not, or a little bit of both. Shenanigans, whatever. Still been playing the game on my days off. Like for instance, I had Wednesday and Thursday off, and Thursday was all rain, so that was definitely not a POTA day for me. So I'm playing this game, working on that kilo, what I mentioned earlier in that other park, but just having fun. Move some antennas around. I still got to get the 6-meter beam out of the rafters. It's literally right above me, but I did take down an older antenna that I wasn't using. So now I got a mast on the ground here. So you know what that means. Just take the antenna, put it on a mast, put the feed line, and there's a 7300 right in back of me. So tell me MAK, that has 6 meters in it. So there's no excuse, right?
What kind of mast is it?
I have a
Eric, look at you.
It's a Radio Shack. It's a radio.
That was your chance, Eric.
I know. Sorry.
Does something go over my head?
Yeah,
Always.
please.
Yeah. Eric, play it.
I can't because I changed my audio settings, so I can't play it.
Ah.
Yeah,
I was going to say something serious, that I have 2 10-foot Radio Shack masts put together that I can't take apart anymore. And they're still holding up great. They're about 30 years old. They're holding up great. And the power coating, whatever they did with it in the last series, has worked great. And so now
Radio
I have
Shack for the win.
Yeah, Radio Shack for the win. So,
Yeah, but what does the inside of that thing look like?
No, I actually took a flashlight to it. Everything looks great on it. And if I have to, I'll throw some Rust-Oleum on it if I have to, but I don't want to. But it's holding up. I'm telling you that those masks go back to probably late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Just when Radio Shack was closing, I was hitting stores saying, "Where's your masks?"
Right.
And I wanted, and the goal was I wanted a couple 5-footers or I wanted a couple 10-footers. But anyway, catch me, look for me, put me inside the Ham Alert W1FYG, and look forward to working and making some contacts.
Yep. Sounds good. Cool, man. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for, finding some time in the schedule to come hang out with us, as always.
Love hanging out, as always.
You're always welcome, man. Appreciate
Thanks for being here, though.
Cool. All right. Well, over to you, Tortoise Overland. Go ahead.
Where do I begin? Working on a mount for the Wombat Mobile there, my Australian camper. Actually, I have one of them here. All it is one of those.
Pressure clamps.
Yeah, it's a pressure clamp, like for your. What is it?
Oh yeah. Okay, with the little rubber kind of.
Yeah, with a little rubber dingle here, and then you just strap it down. It's for strapping like axes and silly stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount them horizontally, 2 of them, to strap the mast to the side of the camper. That's going to be a goal for this weekend, and I'm also going to be doing. I'm trying to do some shorts. I suck at YouTube. I really do. I can't edit to save my life. So shorts it is for right now. But I've got a couple shorts up, and actually have a full video that my buddy's going to edit for me for doing batteries in the camper, adding 300 amp hours to my camper, all the power, all the time. I can probably run a good 2 weeks, even with my refrigerator running on the batteries before they need to be fully recharged. In addition to the 200 amp hours I have in the truck. So, doing a little bit of a short on that. I've got the ATAS on. I've got the 891 installed. I'm having problems with the ATAS, so I'm going to work that this weekend. I keep getting the ATAS, the wonderful ATAS error, and my up is down and my down is up on the control on the 891. So I figured that out. But other than that, getting ready for field day. I might drop in to see Eric, but our local club has something going on too. So I'm going to see what's going on with that. But just trying to get over being sick this whole week. Being on vacation and being sick sucks. I'd rather be sick during the work week so I can just give everybody else at work sick. So,
exactly.
But other than that, nothing else.
Awesome. Well, I just threw your link in there, and obviously Mike is a new to the roster here, so I would say go over and show some love to his channel if you haven't done that yet. I know he's got a little bit of subs, but we always love sending more subs your way and get you up there in the ranks. Maybe we'll move you a little bit to get videos out there. But no pressure.
Dude, I'm trying. I'm trying. My wife tells me I'm very trying also, so
Okay, so I fixed my audio. So here we go, Izzo.
Erecting that big, hard, stiff black mast.
No comment. No comment.
Man.
Now I get it. I get it. I might be late to the party, but
when Kay Murder did that, I was like, I'm snarfing this video and I'm gonna hold it on for that one time I need it. And so this isn't that one time, but I'll have it in the reserves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Erecting that big, hard, stiff black mast.
Oh,
awesome.
Internet classic.
Yep. He said it. He used the hand gesture. It's public domain. Anyway. Anyway, all right, over to you, Todd. What's been going on? Anything you want to throw in the mix there?
Oh man, well, I just got a lot of baseball. I'm trying to wrap it up. It'll be done end of February, end of July, mid July actually. I'll be all done, and got some ham radio projects in the works that I'm going to be working on, and going to try to get out and do some activating and have some fun. So that's about it. Cool. I've got a bunch of videos that I've started but haven't finished, so I'm going to try to get them out too. So
awesome. All right, cool. Looking forward to it. All right, Mike, over to you, sir.
Oh, buddy.
Bro.
No.
We know that's Todd's favorite antenna.
Yeah. So there's a reason why I'm borrowing that. That's not mine.
You might as well buy one.
Good.
I'm
you'd be a fool.
I told him to buy one.
And I'm also borrowing this.
No.
Oh, G90. Wow, finally. That's going to be a hard thing to part with.
This was my original radio. So I'm borrowing it from my buddy I sold it to.
Wow.
You're borrowing your old radio that you sold?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yep. And the reason why is I'm going to do one of my first sponsored content videos. Hopefully Sunday, I'm going to go out with a new Radiodity antenna, the vertical Ape, TO, and a bunch of those guys. Walt has already done videos on it. It's, just like a center loaded coil type style. But I wanted to borrow the G90, and I'm going to go back to the first park I ever activated. And I want to go back with the mentality, because everyone's doing all this great testing and stuff. I'm not like a typical reviewer. I want to put myself in my original mind state with my original radio, the same location I first activated, and see, is this something that I would want as a new ham? It's still in the box. It hasn't even been opened. So I haven't taken a look at it yet, but that's the perspective I want to go in with. But having used the Buddy Stick Pro, having Wolf River coils as my first antenna, I want to be able to kind of compare it to others and be able to show, from how things pack up, or, some of the capabilities that you may or may not be able to do. Having a spike is going to be a compromise in the Northeast, as opposed to a tripod, because of the winter. But I'm looking forward to doing it. Like I said, it's going to be like the first major sponsored thing I do or whatever with the antenna. But I was looking forward to trying it out, and I want to try to do something different. And so I want to look at it like I would have looked at this 4 years ago when I just got into HF radio and went out into the woods with
Like
a G90 and a coil antenna, and think,
Like a
is this
budget build?
something? Yeah, it could be. Maybe it isn't. But
Yeah, cool.
Listen,
that's what I'm looking forward to.
that antenna, I've dragged that thing across from coast to coast, north, south, east, west. That thing is always reliable. It is. You should just buy one. Can't go
I
wrong.
think it's got to be a really great antenna to travel with, because it packs up really well.
Yeah.
But
if you're
on a tripod,
got
so you don't
something
have
you
to
wanna
worry about
trade-
you don't have to worry about putting something in a tree. You don't have to worry about putting something in the ground. It's a tripod. You can just set it up.
And
there's a lot of good things about it.
And what I add to it is I just take one of those.
All right, Paul.
What I add to it is I just have one of those foldable tripods, and I connect the raised counterpoise on it, and it works great. It all fits in that bag, and you just throw that bag in your backpack, and you're good to go.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Here's an option. If you've got some stuff that you'd be willing to do a little trade, I'd be willing to throw my Buddy Pole Pro at you. Right now, it's sitting in my saddlebag in my truck as my backup to my backup to my backup to my backup antenna. So if everything else fails, that would be the antenna I go to.
I've got a deluxe sitting here doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I've got access to one when I need it. So
yeah. Well, Eric
you can have
also
one all
has
the
the
time.
deluxe.
Yeah. Is that what I have? I can't remember. See, it's been so put away so long that
Yes,
I
it is
forgot.
the Buddy Pro Deluxe.
That's exactly what I have sitting in my garage gathering cobwebs.
Yeah. Well, so I bought it.
Todd.
I used it twice, and I fucking hated it. And I was like, I want to get rid of this fucking thing. And Eric was like, "Oh, I'll take that off your hands." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, buddy."
Hey, where is it sitting?
Look there's only most people can figure out how to work that antenna, and there's just a minority of people out there. I won't name any names. That just couldn't figure it out, and he's all negative towards it. But he's only capable of throwing shit in trees and just having it all work. A little bit of tweaking here and there. It's only for the few.
No.
So a one-man wire.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Eric, what do you got going on in your channel?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for asking, Paul. So we got a couple of things going on. I just scrapped a review that I was going to do on the spool tenna because I thought it sucked. And so I have to re-record it again. It felt like it was doing like the reviews for everybody else. And so I was kind of following suit. So I said, no, it's got to be something different. So I got it in chunks. And so I just got to finish doing the last test with it. And so looking forward to that. Building a couple of cool setups for the truck I need to add to my All-Star node. So I've got an all-star node on a backup battery and a Epic Power Gate controlling it, and that's all going to be wired to the truck. And we'll throw some solar at it so all the batteries stay charged, and so that's coming soon on the channel. And
do you have all
the only other thing that we get kind of go? I have an all-star here in the shack, and so I want one for the truck, just so I have the capabilities. And I had one kind of like thrown in a bag which I powered off the cigarette lighter for a while, but right. I wanted something more permanent that was gonna look pretty cool and stylish and match the decor of the the mobile command center.
Send me your repeater, or what do you call it, your access node number, and
my all-star node.
Yeah, because I'm playing with that M1 mic. M1
the mic.
KE,
yeah,
the mic, and I love it.
Okay.
And it's just something I'll put you into a profile, and guess what? You'll be hearing me on a regular basis.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I always do.
Oh, no.
I don't mind. Don't mind with that one.
Damn, it's awfully quiet, like 652.
Yeah, sometimes. And then the only other thing I'd throw on there is, if you haven't heard, the guys over at Live Free and Ham, that would be Paul, I, and Todd, we're doing a 24-hour POTA. So what that means to you guys is a weekend of a camp out, and we're doing 24-hour live stream. And that's going to be in September. We're going to invade Greenfield State Park. So if you want to come, just head over. I got the link here, Paul. So if you want to I'll throw it in there now. You can go sign up just to kind of let us know your interest. And then we'll get you some money. We'll get you the cost for camping. And we're going to probably cater it because I've learned from HRCC, it's a lot, easier to do it that way than it is to try to have everyone prepare food. And so, yeah, we're going to 24-hour live stream the park activation under our official club call sign, which is Whiskey One, Live Free and Ham. So we'll be doing that and having a blast and just sitting around campfires, swapping our favorite drinks and whiskey and the whole 9 yards and just having fun. So yeah, if that interests you, no matter where you are, it's not New England only. So if you're outside of New England and you want to come, let us know. Just fill in the form and we'll love to have you come. I think we got 10 now. We had 2 more pop on. So yeah, we got enough space to probably put quite a bit there. And it's boondocking trailer wise. But if you, if you're coming outside the state and you want to fly in, let us know. We'll work out some way we can, set up a bunk for you because we got a couple extra spaces in our trailers here and whatnot. So all good.
So you come.
So yeah.
Izzo, you coming? You get enough time?
No, but.
What do you mean no?
What do you mean no?
I am working. I'm working Thursday through Tuesday that week, and I am trying to maneuver some swaps on Saturday and Sunday for me. I'm trying.
It's called PTO.
Okay.
I don't have it.
Not with him.
No, I don't have it. Unfortunately,
he's got a tough life.
Yeah, and even field day. I'm trying to. I would like to come up and hang with you guys. I'm off that Saturday, but something else came up with a major repeater project that I may have to participate. So that, and I was going to take Sunday off anyway. So
don't worry so much about this year with field day with us because Paul's probably not going to be there. I might not be there. I know I won't be there. That's my wife, and Todd won't be there. So
hold on though. All right, I got a pressing question for Don. When is the wedding?
July 17th.
All right.
All right. You got to write another AI song.
And we're gonna. So I'm off Thursday through Sunday. I just happened to be off that weekend, so I took Thursday, Friday off. So that's PTO time already being used for that. But she has already said to me, "Do you want to play POTA?" I said, "What?" So I said, "What?" I said immediately after we do the nuptials, and she says, "No." She says that's Thursday night, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday we can do as much radio out in lower Rhode Island area where we're going to be. So
your wife said this?
Nice.
Yes.
Our
future wife.
Our first date. You know what she did? I don't know if you guys ever heard this story, and I'll make it real quick.
He coiled your coax.
She knew how to coil the coax the correct way. And I said, "How did you learn it?" She says, "My father used to do that with me with extension cords." So it was
I've had a lot of practice.
Oh, no.
Oh man, good thing. Let me tell you something. You're lucky.
my God.
You're lucky. You're lucky. She's not watching, but she saw pictures of your dog, so she already likes you. So don't ruin it.
Oh, my
Don't ruin
God.
it.
Nice.
Don't
I
ruin
almost
it.
died.
Blame it on the dog.
Don't know. The dog is gonna save him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Watson, come here.
All right. That's point. I don't know. We can end right there.
You
Let's
better
call
close
it
it.
quits,
You,
right?
you better close this show real fast.
And on that note, 7-3s,
Yeah,
y'all.
with that, we out of here. 7-3s, guys.
7-3, everyone.
Guys, 7-3.